Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Toy Frenzy proudly presents to you episode 74. I can't believe we're here. I had to
How
say
did we
that
get
in
to
time.
74?
How do we do this? I don't even know. It's like we just show up every week and we hit a couple of buttons and bam, here we are.
Pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like Star
There's-
Trek.
It is. It's like Star Trek, right? We're all staring at each other through little screens on our windows, and that's it.
It's every week is a bottle episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's right. So how you guys been doing this week?
Not bad, and you?
Appreciate you. There we go. All right. As many people can see tonight, unfortunately, Skelly had to take the night off, and as well as Bobby is continuing to take a little break right now. But we're all still happy to be here, of course, and hanging out with you guys on a Thursday night for a very special episode of Toy Frenzy, Resisting Temptation, because it's something that we all kind of have to do from time to time, maybe, unless your name is Joe Gonzalez, or maybe if you're
Pixel Dan,
Payne's Toy Samples, or Pixel Dan, or these people that just seem to be able to collect it all, right?
Pretty much.
So
Joe's my hero for that reason.
Joe is a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Joe is definitely a hero. I've got some work coming up that I'm going to have Joe helping me out on, actually. So it's going to be
nice.
Yep. Well, I needed somebody who had it all. And there's one person I know who has it all. So
it makes sense.
That's right.
He is a completist. He has admitted that many times.
He is, and I don't hate him for it. All right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to start starring some people's names, of course, because I want to be able to jump in and say hello to everybody as quickly as I can, which we all know takes time. As well as Skelly did an amazing job trying to help us get started tonight by setting some things up before we were going live. Unfortunately, when he sets it up, it saves it individually for him. I don't have access to that. And because of that, I'm redoing a whole bunch of work on the fly here. But that's okay, folks, because, we're professionals, right? Like, we are so pro about this whole thing. We have no idea what we're doing, folks. If any of you out there think, man, how do these guys manage to do a YouTube thing? I will have you on. We hit a couple of buttons and we go live. That's literally about it. So
it's amazing it does that much. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Right. I am impressed that we can even get this far into it. But we managed to do it, and I'm definitely happy for that because it's been a great time meeting all these people doing these live streams. All right, so I think I've managed to weed through and star everybody at least once in the chat. Now, let me go through here, and we will start saying hello to these fine people. We have JMax77 saying, it's a great day, Toy Frenzy, and Eternia shipping notice today.
Yeah.
That was big news for a lot of people today, right? Eternias are shipping. Like 2 days ago, we get the Modi box drop. Like, oh, that looks like great packaging. And then they're like, surprise! Here you go, folks. You're getting your Eternias. We have Aaron in the chat, Payne's Name Twins, and JMax77. Did you actually get the shipping notification, or is this just wishful thinking? And man, I've seen a bunch of people sent me pictures today saying, I got my shipping notice. So it's for real, people. They're shipping. It's happening. We also had some other Masters of the Universe news we'll talk a little bit about as well. And we have Ace here hanging out with us. Thanos saying he did not get his Eternia notice yet. We've got Motu Origins Cork David here hanging out saying, hello, Frenzied. What's going on, brother? Thank you for staying up late and being here with us. Or did you wake up really early? I don't know which one you did. Highly in Dread here saying, hey, what's going on, brother? Long time no see. I'm glad to have you in the chat. Lots of fun news, brother. And Battle Brand Blog pulling double duty in here. Radical Toys, Adam hanging out with us tonight as well. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for being here. He just did a fun premiere video a little bit earlier tonight. We also have a very big G.I. Joe news today.
Yeah.
We have Ronald Embry here hanging out. Good to see you, brother. And he's saying, so it's about resisting temptation today, right? It's about resisting temptation, something none of us have no idea what that is.
Unsuccessfully resisting temptation.
And David, it's funny you ask who is good at that. We're going to bring up a little bit later. There is one person in this community who I said is able to resist temptation on a theological level, almost in a way, like that kind of elevation. We're going to give him a big shout out a little bit later on. We have Allison Troy saying greetings to everybody. And speak of the man himself, Joe Gonzalez in here. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for hanging out tonight on Toy Frenzy. And to make us official, we have Nolan here with us because you are not toy tubing unless Nolan is in your chat. It's like an unwritten law. Now, I know many more people are joining in here with us as well. I'm going to try to scroll down and catch those last few people that have been coming in the last couple of minutes here as the chat catches up to me, because I know I saw a few more names pop in. Now, if I can find them, we got Cobweb Collector here hanging out, pumping out a lot of the new upcoming stuff constantly on his channel. Cobb, I don't know how you do it, brother, but it's great seeing all those videos. I got to say that Shredder is even better in hand than it did just in the promo shots. I want that Shredder figure. Bernie Lomax coming, hot off the weekend, folks, here hanging out with us. Good to see you, Bernie. Thank you for being here, brother. We've got Emerald Knight Photos John here. Him and his buddies have been doing a new show on Tuesday nights called Geek Out, which is their kind of Instagram where they do a whole bunch of toy photos. And, they've also got a Discord that they do. Amazing toy photographers talking about all things toys and other things nerdy, too. Like this week, they got into a nice discussion about Friday the 13th and the love of horror, which was really fun. So definitely go check them out, get subscribed, do live streams every Tuesday night, or at least so far it's been like every Tuesday night. It's been a lot of fun to hang out and see those guys talk about their passions and their pictures and their compositions, as well as there are different people within the clique that they put a spotlight on every week. So you can see all kinds of new toy photographers as well, each and every week.
Very cool.
Very, very cool. So the big news today, guys, Rock On is coming. That's not really the big news, but that is big news, right? Right? We've got Rock On coming to Mattel Creations. They got the date. They put that name up. There's no mystery this time. We all know it's Rock On, right? Mm-hmm. Then they're going to pull a fast one on us and hit us with Cyclone. And, we saw these, shown off earlier this year. We're getting the Rock Warriors finally, which is really, really awesome. I am totally glad that we're getting those. Although I will say, with resisting temptation, I'm gonna resist. I think I'm gonna resist on this on Rock On here. Now, as a kid, for some reason, I absolutely loved the Rock Warriors, even though their big feature was that they just turned into a rock.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, that doesn't appeal to me as much. Although, like Adam, right? Because you said the same thing as me. Like, it's fun using them as just like little background pieces too in their transformed form.
Their scenery.
Yeah, right. Like they just fit in anywhere. You fold them up as a rocket. You just pop them in. They're there.
I'm just picturing it. He puts a little sign and tapes a little sign on it. I'm useful.
Take a load off.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I got them. I got Rock On Stonar. Same year, I think that I got Granok from Inhumanoids. So I think that was like the year for rock toys. Okay. I know there was Rock Lords also the same year. Transforming
Rock Lords
rocks
came out. Were the Meteorbs on their way yet that year?
Yep, Meteorbs were also 86. So just nothing but rocks.
Just getting a whole bunch of rocks, man. 86 rocks.
We were
Right?
Charlie Brown on
Yeah.
Halloween. Like,
I
that
got
was
a
nuts.
rock.
I got a rock, yeah.
Rock. How do you go trick or treating and get a rock, man? That's rough. I got a meatloaf one year, but I never got a rock.
Really?
Yeah, got a meatloaf.
I'd be okay with a meatloaf.
I was definitely okay with a meatloaf. Like, I was not complaining.
Yeah.
I would have went home, and that would have been the end of my trick or treating. Be like, this is awesome.
Right.
I'm going home and eating dinner.
Is you know, is basically like the same year that my mom had left my dad. Not to put my personal family stuff out there like that, but my friend, I used to go trick or treating with a couple of friends of mine. It was my buddy John lived down the street from me on one end, my buddy Eric that lived up the street from me on the other end. So John used to come up to my house, meet me, then we'd walk around the corner, meet up with our buddy Eric, and then we'd walk down that side of the block all the way down to John's house. We'd make that little circuit, check in real quick, and then we'd hit the whole neighborhood, right? When I got to John's house and we were checking in with his mom and everything like that, he was dumping off his first load of candy because he basically just made a full circuit around our blocks already. So he's just ready to dump off and then go out for more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, she hands me, she goes, this meatloaf. She goes, here, I made this extra meatloaf for you and your dad and everything like that. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. And then I had to walk around the rest of the night with this meatloaf. I went trick or treating and I got meatloaf. It's just a great fun story to tell. You go trick or treat, get meatloaf. It's almost as fun as my trick or treating on Christmas Eve story. When you're having a fun Christmas, man, when you're having a fun Christmas Eve party that actually is really kind of boring, and you're just like, you look over at your closet and there's a whole bunch of costumes in there from previous years, and you and all your friends pick different pieces, throw them on, and put them together, and then go out trick-or-treating on Christmas Eve, and people just look at you very, very strangely as they open up their door, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, trick-or-treat! Like, it's Christmas Eve! And I'm like, trick-or-treat! And, then some people got the memo, and they started putting, like, cookies or candy canes and other little sweet treats in the bag, and I was like, I didn't think it would work!
They better have cookies. Santa's on his way that night. You gotta have the cookies,
Right? Gotta have the cookies. Gotta have the cookies around. Just don't pour the milk in with the cookies, please. Don't do that.
That would be the biggest trick right there.
Right.
It'd be terrible. You said you wanted a trick. Well,
I will not resist temptation. It offends my non-existent sensibilities.
Some people got it. All right. So we did gear up the chat here. We're talking about this stuff. We got John Guzman here saying, good stuff. Let's talk. Absolutely. Let's all talk. I want to say hi to Figuratively Speaking jumping in here with us tonight. We've got, I know I've seen the cringiest name in Toy Tube. We got Speaking Moistly here. Moistness. And as we scroll down a little bit further, I know we said, all right, people commenting in about all of our stuff. So stoked for Rock On, right? Aaron says, I love the Comment Warriors. I'm so excited for Rock On. John Guzman says he wants the Rock On from Revolution, because that was kind of a big drop in there, right? They were like, here's the Horde. We're going to have Hordak just take out, it wasn't Rock On, it was Stone.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, they just wiped him out like it was nothing. I was kind of hoping he would have thrown down a little bit harder, but it was, to kind of prove what a BA that Hordak is, right? That you just single-handedly throw down this champion. Still cool seeing him in there, and I'm glad. And then they showed him in Preternia too, which was really great at the end.
Yeah.
That was really freaking cool. Oh, sorry, folks. We didn't announce spoiler warning. If y'all haven't watched it yet, what the heck is wrong with you? All right. So, Terrence, we're going to, as Adam was already reading this, we're going to go ahead here and we're going to bring this up and address it. He says, I am offended by the thumbnail title. I will not resist temptation. It offends my non-existent sensibilities. Oh, and hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
We love you, Terrence. And Terrence is another one where, bringing it back down to the trying to resist temptation. Since Terrence has gone to PowerCon and we have met and everything like that, and we were hanging out a bit while we were all there at PowerCon. Terrence has gone down a big Four Horsemen rabbit hole, right? Like when it comes to resisting temptation, that is my hardest thing to do right now because I just can't get it all. And Four Horsemen to me make like such amazing toys, perfect toys, and to me in a lot of ways. So it's very, very hard to resist that temptation. And Terrence shows what would happen if I just had the endless resources to try and do that. Because this man has been going crazy buying all this stuff. He definitely does not resist temptation. He just says, "Oop, I want it and I buy." Bernie saying meatloaf is better than, well, now that's an interesting thing. Just saying. I was going to read more of that, but I didn't read it all before I highlighted it. And then I was like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Big shout out here. Dawning of a Decade has joined us. The beautiful Dawn. She has been back to work this week, kicking butt under the weather at a new job, working hard each and every day this week. Glad to have you here tonight. I know you've been trying to catch up on some rest on, but very proud of you. You've been kicking butt on all the tests that you had to do coming back into work this week, and congratulations. You know, it's really, really amazing, and I am so proud of you. I'm speaking Moistly saying, I'm going to have to watch Revolution again. Was kind of drunk when I watched it. You know, Moistly, I've noticed that on the last couple of streams. You've been having some issues with your typing there, and it wasn't all autocorrect, okay? He's been saying the last couple times, I'm a little drunk right now. It's like, okay. I see that. Oh, here we got it. I'm all in on Four Horsemen product, but I never buy based solely on nostalgia. My money saving. So he does have a weakness. There we go. There we go.
That's like the opposite of me. I'm mostly nostalgia.
Right? Well, a lot of people are, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with being nostalgia driven. Like, I mean, let's face it, I would not be toy collecting today if it was not for the nostalgia of getting back into Origins, right? Like that's what kickstarted the whole thing for me. Ziggy, my buddy, you guys have met him you've seen him on a couple of things now. You've met him a few times. He picked me up that Origins He-Man and Skeletor. That was my Christmas present one year. And I tried to resist temptation. I was only going to have He-Man and Skeletor. And then there was a Battle Cat. And we were just having this conversation before we went live. Then there was a Battle Cat. And I don't even remember who I got next. I remember it was rough for a while because you couldn't really find a whole lot. And then bits and pieces here and there, just kind of ordering this online or that online. And until finally having the collection that I have now of mostly everything from the line. At least most of the stuff that I want anyway. And just, yeah, there was no resisting there was no resistance at all. It's just like, I'm getting them. I got to get these. They're so great. They've reminded me every bit of that childhood. And it was a huge, huge nostalgia factor with me.
I don't know about you, but every time I've gotten into a new line or recollecting an old line like vintage, classics, origins, whatever, I'm always like, I'm just gonna get the 8-pack, just the 8-pack, the classic 8. But then like, okay, then that's where you're like, okay, maybe the 12-pack because Triclops, he's pretty essential. And then it's kind of there's that creep, the scope creep that sits in. I'm like, oh, but you know what? Evelyn, she kind of goes with Screech, so maybe I need Screech to go with Evelyn. That's how they get you.
Right. And then the worst part is the justifications that we come up with to not overcome resisting temptation any way, shape, or form. The amount of justification we'll put into the, well, that conversation we've all had. Yeah, I'm just buying this for.
Go ahead, keep going.
Well, Sean, you're aptly dressed for the whole thing. Please, by all means, Sith
This
Lord
is
Gavarna.
this is my worst 2 weeks in years. And I didn't expect to have like a, like a what the heck is it, an intervention, I guess, tonight or anything. But yeah, like for me, when I so to go into like with Masters, at least when I got into classics, I got He-Man, and then I was looking at him for how long, and I go, I need a Skeletor now. Well, then I have to get Skeletor, and then looking at checklists and then looking at eBay prices, I had to whittle down after that point. Like I just spent $200 on the 2 named characters in this line. What do I do next? And I was doing like, okay, I got some Matty Collector ones since the site was ending, and they were pretty much, regular dollar value versus eBay prices. But yeah, it was like, okay, so I already let myself buy Snake, He-Man, and King Hiss from the 2000X show in classics form. So then I'm like, well, that leaves all bets off the table, because I let myself get regular He-Man, the normal He-Man. I let myself get normal Skeletor, and now I have King Hiss, and now I have Snake Armor He-Man, and then I'm like, well, now I need who else is on Matty Collect? I need, who's that elephant dude? I don't know him. Tuscador, that sounds great. He's somebody I need on my shelf. Clamp Champ, I love Clamp Champ. I need that guy on my shelf. Horde Wraiths, of course. And you know what? We're not going to go 1. We're not going to go 2. We got to go all 3, because that's what was on the show when they attacked King Grayskull and defeated him. And it's all this stuff. It was me just going down rabbit holes of what's cool, what's really like something to make my head cannon explode each time something new came in, from the post office and stuff. Anytime I got a mail delivery, there was always something new. And then once you got past the initial phase of I'm getting this cool new thing, then you start going down the rabbit hole of what are the essentials I need in this that absolutely need to be on the shelf if I can't do anything else. So then all of a sudden, here comes Man at Arms, here comes Tila, here comes Beast Man, and those are paying more money. Those are those are eBay pricing again. So you might get 1 a month if you're lucky, or if you're crazy like me, you get a few a month, and you hope to God your wife never finds out. Do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent, I don't remember when I didn't technically stop collecting classics, because there's still ones that I need to go back and get again because of having to sell when my wife was out of work. But for the most part, I've kind of stagnated with that, because I have most of what I wanted to get once I started with the line. And I actually had like checklists written out of, okay, I have this, but I want this. And eventually I got almost every single one, and the downstairs was just classics everywhere. And then that's when I had to whittle it down, because that's after she quit her job, and then we were kind of floating for a year on my pay, which was really interesting. But yeah, it's still like a hell of a thrill just to get some of those figures in hand again and go like, oh my God, I remember how awesome it was to see you the first time. And now here you are again, and you're never leaving me this time. So,
yeah.
And then on top of that, we on Off-World, we did a show 2 weeks ago. Joe was actually on that show. It was about the G.I. Joe Classified line. And at the time when Curtis was like, well, what do we want to talk about? And he's just started buying classifieds within the week or so. And he was, oh, I got this one in the mail. I got this one in the mail. I'm like, well, why don't we talk about that? And he's like, well, I'm the only one really going into this. I go, well, I was collecting them, but I try not to do that because I know I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. By the end of that episode, I got my first classified again on Amazon with my gift card. So I literally spent like $1.50 to get a Storm Shadow, once he showed up in hand, it's been bad. It's been like, oh my God, the Pope is downstairs with hookers snorting blow kind of a week. I mean, we're like that. It's been that bad lately.
Right.
I mean,
Fiona
Crocmaster.
is the best classified figure ever. And her accessory set with Crocmaster and her babies ain't too bad either. But Fiona is hands down my favorite classified figure. And it's followed closely by Timber.
Which I have him. I have him
a
again.
Great one.
Yeah.
As well. I need several more in my wolf pack.
So Sean, when you bought Storm Shadow, did you suddenly have a need for Snake Eyes? Is that how your mind goes?
So here's how my mind went. Because initially, when I first got the classified, I was starting to buy them when they initially came out in 2020, and I got a few, but mostly I got like Cobra Commander, I had Destro, I had Zartan, and I had Major Blood, and then I ended up getting a few Troopers. And it's not like I like Cobra, but I was not a fan of the Joes because they looked too futuristic, and they weren't quite what I wanted to see out of like a updated line. And
the villains are just cooler anyway.
The villains are cooler.
Especially
they look cooler.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, G.I. Joe, and that's the thing. Like G.I. Joe and Masters are like the two villains in 80s anything, where it's like you can just collect all you want of Skeletor and his minions, or you could collect all you want of Cobra and Cobra Commander's bunch and all that. And either way, you're not wrong. There's definitely an appeal to that. But when I got Storm Shadow, and then I held him in hand again, and I'm just like, God, I'm not stopping this time, because this is one I really wanted. They didn't have him when I initially had the line the first time, and they had the Arctic one, which I was like, this is not my Storm Shadow. I want old Storm Shadow, the original one. So once I got him, the first one I started looking up was Zartan, because he was my favorite out of the ones I had previously, and Major Blood was definitely up there too. So those two were like, I have to get them back. And then from there, I just went down the rabbit hole. And in the 2 weeks that I have been doing this, I already have two Snake Eyes. I have the Desert Commando one, and I have the one with Timber right now. And no, sorry. The white Timber, not the gray Timber, because that one's a whole different version. That's Commando Snake Eyes. The one with Timber, the other one with the white Timber is the ninja-looking Snake Eyes. So it was an inevitability, though, that I needed to get him, because once you get Storm Shadow, it's like, why wouldn't jelly taste good with peanut butter at this point?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very real conversation. Go ahead.
Last year I got Classics Fisto, which is no easy feat. You got to work for that one.
Yeah.
I got him for a reasonable-ish price. But then immediately, for what it goes for. But then immediately it's like, okay, now I need Jitsu. I have to find a Jitsu. That's because there's certain figures that just go together. They're nemesis or they're buddies. They appeared together in some comic or some show or something.
Yeah.
And then that just pulls you in.
Oh yeah. Like I had Jitsu before I had Fisto in Classics. I forget, like Jitsu was one, I think I got him on like somebody was selling them on Facebook. And I just ended up like right place, right time. I want to say he was under $100. And it was like he was just about to take off in his pricing when I found him. Now I like messaged the guy really quick. I'm like, I really want him, please. And I was lucky enough to get him. And then Fisto, that one was a whole journey. That one literally felt like it took forever to get a Fisto. By the time I got him, I got a trade with him, but then it wasn't the guy who traded him to me. He traded me a Scareglow and a Fisto. Scareglow was fine. Fisto had been used as a custom, which I was like, there's a nice place in hell for people like you. Like, why would you customize Fisto of all characters? So I spent like
They
how
probably had
many?
two.
I'm sure they did, but when you have none, and then you it's that whole thing of like Fisto. Fisto for me is one that I would never ever take him apart in any way, shape, or form because when you know the number that you already spent to get that character, that one to me is like if there's a fire in the house, I will do my damnedest to get Fisto out. I will get Rhaegar out. I will get the Mondo He-Man out. I will try to get Grayskull out, and all that before I even finally say, okay, fine, the rest is just lost to the fire or whatever.
You better get that Grayskull out, or you're dead to me, Sean. You're just dead to me.
Well, you know what? What I would probably do is I'd open Grayskull and throw as many as I could into Grayskull, so I have one neat carrying case and get the hell
There
out
you
of
go.
Dodge.
That's the way to do it.
It's like
The best part
that's what
is
the
if you
guy
save Grayskull, you have something to move into.
exactly that, and it's like the 45-year-old guy on the box carrying it over to his buddy's house. I'm like, you're damn right, I'm gonna still do that. I am 45. I'll keep doing that all I want.
That's right. That is right. And don't let anybody shame you for that
Oh,
either.
absolutely. I was one
Never.
of those
No
people
shame.
that it's like I was made fun of in high school for like a Ninja Turtles, and I was just like, you people just don't know what fun is. You guys go do your
Yeah.
thing, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy He-Man and Ninja Turtles. I'm good.
Were you, when you were a kid, were you ever told by older kids or adults like, oh, you're not gonna like those toys in like 5 years from now. You're just not gonna like them anymore. And like that becomes the narrative and like, oh, I
Yep.
guess I'm not supposed to, even though you actually really do, but you can't admit it after a certain age.
I
The
had a
hard part about that
father.
was for me
Go ahead.
was
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Sean.
No, go
The
ahead.
hard part about it for me was like, again, people were just like saying that kind of stuff, like, you're not gonna like playing with those toys and all this other
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like I never ever did stop liking them. I had moments that kind of broke the collecting habit, or because again, when I was a kid, I didn't think of it as collecting, right? As a kid, it was just, I want these toys, I want these toys, and there was never an age where I started to really feel like I was growing out of it. I was, again, just talking with Tony and Ken about this not too long ago, before coming on here tonight, was that, by the time toys, like I was kind of starting to get out of toys with, I didn't have as much with the Ninja Turtles. I didn't have as much Power Rangers. Like those were the two big things that started to come out, right? I still managed to get like the Kenner Alien and Predator stuff, but there wasn't a whole lot of it, right? There was some of the Terminator stuff, but there wasn't a whole lot of it. And then there was some Stargate stuff that my dad got for me. But there wasn't a lot of it, So it was all like these littler toy lines that I got a bunch of things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But they never really captured me like the early ones did, like Ghostbusters or Masters of the Universe. And then Power of the Force 2 hit. And that was like, I need those. And it was like, at that point, that was all I wanted. Never stopped loving the toys, but it was just, it shifted completely to Star Wars because that was the first time Star Wars was out for me. And that carried me through those years where people kind of tend to start getting away from toys, I guess. It was like that age range. And if it wasn't for like the house burning down, I probably still would have heavily collected the rest of Power of the Force 2 all the way through to like eventually became like Legacy of Power of the Jedi and after Phantom Menace and everything like that. But I never had a moment where like toys just didn't seem fun to me. But my friends definitely didn't understand it, and I didn't go around with toys anymore, right? Like I didn't. It was a very shameful thing, right? I guess that helped me resist temptation in a lot of ways. Not wanting to be shamed by my peers for having all these toys.
Mm-hmm. Well, like for me, I grew up with a dad who he was born in 1922. He had me when he was 54 or 55 years old. Up to the point where I learned how to talk, he loved me. And then once I learned how to talk, he wasn't as big of a fan because suddenly he realized, oh crap, this guy's going to give me crap back at him every time, at any time he had an opinion contrary to what I liked. Because I mean, for me, I was an only child, and I discovered these toy lines just by my mom taking me to the Five and Dime in Baltimore. And the next thing you know, I'm leaving with a He-Man, or I'm leaving with Skeletor, or what, you name it. Like, between, I was thinking about it just this week too. I'm like, the two main toy lines that I remember getting really immersed in when I was a kid was Masters and GI Joe, because those both came out close to the same time, and I discovered them on my own. And they were easy ways for my mom to, she would let me get maybe one when we go to the store each time, and then I'd come home and I just want to, like, she could see I would literally throw myself into these imaginary worlds, and I would play for hours and keep myself busy. So for her it was like, that's awesome, he's using his creativity, he's using his imagination, he's playing these things. And her fear of I'm going to become a violent kid was not even founded, because I wasn't using them violently. I was using them as like, here, I'm telling an adventure story with these characters or whatever. I wasn't like, and now He-Man kills Beast Man by cutting off his head with his battle axe. Nah, I was never that guy.
He was never that guy. Never that
I
guy.
was never that
until
guy.
now.
So nowadays, I probably would Kevin Smith it if I was playing with him and go, well, I need somebody to die to show their stakes to it, but it wouldn't be Fisto or Clamp Champ. I'll just throw that out there. But like my dad though, he always like it, when I hit probably like 11 and 12 years old, I always got this, why the hell are you buying this stuff? You're wasting your money. You're like, why are you telling your mom you want to get this stuff? You're free. You're old enough that you shouldn't be playing with this stuff. Or I would read comics too, and it'd be like, why are you why are you reading these comics? These are for little kids. Or if I had cartoons on, because it was the cartoon block in the afternoon or on Saturday mornings, oh, this is stupid stuff. Why are you putting this on? And it's like, considering his time period, the dude grew up through the Great Depression, and he ended up getting drafted into World War II, got into Korea a little bit in the beginning of Korea, and then he spent his life in the military. It's like, I can kind of see now why he'd have that opinion, because that stuff to him just seems so frivolous when he had all these other crazy life events happening to him. But at that point, it was like, these were things that made me occupied. They took up my imagination, they took up my creativity, and that's what my mom was completely all for, compared to, what am I supposed to do? Just have him sit there and stare at a wall then? Is that what you're thinking? Because if you want to take all this from him, he has nothing left at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that generation gap with toys. I think we've talked about that before. I think it's our like older Gen X and then maybe younger millennials. Just kind of like just had this toy experience that I think the previous generations didn't have, and the next generations won't have either, because they've moved on to video games now. So
yeah, for the most part, it's very electronically based, toy driven world now when it comes to the toys. I mean, kids will still play with toys, but kids want to play with other kids, right? So what are the other kids playing? The other kids are playing with their video games. They're not going to be playing with toys too. It's just the reality of it, right? Kids don't play together with the toys like they used to. Wish they did, but they don't really. So one thing though, for sure, is when the generation before us grew up, they didn't have toys like the stuff that we had, right? Like we hit that sweet spot where the toys that we had coming out, nothing had ever been out like that before us. And since then, it's not as like groundbreaking, right? Like Masters of the Universe is one of those, and not to keep bringing it back to Masters, but that's the toy thing that kind of got all of us into toys, right? But it was just simply the fact that, with this line, it was one of those everything in the kitchen sink kind of deals, right? Like, if there was a gimmick, Mattel was going to try to put it in a toy. You know, they invented a lot of toy features that became popular later because they were trying it out with masters and figuring out some way to make it work within their story. And that's just one of the neat things about it was like we had a little bit of everything within Masters of the Universe, but it does get hard to be able to resist, you know, when there's something that you see that you want. What is the number one thing that makes resisting the toy easy? I'll say mine outright.
Yeah.
Price.
Price, yeah.
You know, it's of course naturally just price. Like that is the main one for me. You know, I can't collect everything, and that costs, right? Like, you know,
yeah.
So you got to start looking at what you can put aside, maybe what you don't need.
Yeah, sometimes it's space. Like I know I've got my office here. It's pretty much toys on every wall around me, but I definitely don't have room to collect everything. I've got, my Origins table, which is only like Lords of Power kind of era stuff. I've got my classics table, and I've got some vintage stuff on other sides. But there's no way, like, even if I wanted to right now, there's no way I could be collecting Origins or Masterverse. I don't have room for Mythic Legions. Um, I do have like one shelf right here where I've got my Fire and Ice Dark Wolf, and that's sometimes that messes me up because I'm like, you could really use another barbarian looking guy on that shelf, which made me almost get one of the recent Mythic Legions that the bear rider guy, that guy. I did manage to not, yeah, because I thought he might look good next to Dark Wolf, but
he would.
But you got the bear, right?
On. Yeah, exactly.
You got the bear, right, to go with Dark Wolf, because Dark Wolf would look great riding a bear.
He would, yeah. But that's one where I managed to hold out. Like, no, I gotta focus. Gotta focus on the stuff I am most, the central thing I'm collecting right now.
Sure, right. You narrow the focus down, and kind of figure out what's going to mean the most to you. It's a good way to resist the temptation.
Let me think. I mean, for me right now, I'd say it's more space than price right now, because I have what I have behind me set up here, but that's pretty much it for the time being, because my basement only has so much wall that I can take up doing this. And my wife was like, this is not all just yours. You're not putting bookshelves on every single wall down here, because she wants it to be a family area eventually too. So I have the area that I have, and I'm like, okay. And so also on pre-order, I have Armies of Ashmore. I have more Mythic Legions down the pike. There are still some Mondos, like Beastman will be here at some point. Will there be other ones like maybe Teela or Scareglow that I want to put on in the shelf too? And so there's definitely more that factor. And then for me, another thing that I'm really weird about is if I don't have a specific character or a figure that I absolutely have to have in something, the chances of me wanting to jump into it beyond that are very minimal. Like, I needed Storm Shadow to feel like I could jump into G.I. Joe because he was one of the ones that I loved when I was a kid. I had to have He-Man to start my classics collection, and there's Rhaegar with Mythic Legions and stuff like that. It's like I needed some of these characters that they spoke to me, and if I got those first, then it was a guarantee. I need to get more of these because now I have that one that I really, really love. So if I don't find that one that I really love in other lines, it's really easy for me to not go with it and not worry about it. But if there is that one, the slope is very slippery.
Right. Yeah, because like for me, right, we all know, I've talked about it several times. I enjoyed Mythic Legions, but again, it mostly boiled down to price, and I wasn't actively collecting. I'd known about the Kickstarters and stuff like that, and I thought they looked gorgeous, but I just never dove into it, right? I was just like, nah, I can't do it. And then they went and slapped me in the face with Headless Horseman, and I was like, oh my God, I need that. And
That one
then
almost got me.
Sean fully enabled me. He was like, I got you, bro. And I was like, you got me? You got, and I'm surrounded by figure obscure Mythic Legions like around my desk. And I got a handful like everything around here because I play with stuff throughout my day. But and like I ain't mad about it. Like I'm definitely not mad about it. I absolutely love all of it. But it gets tough to resist, right? Like there was just, we finished up the Rising Suns pre-order from Store Horseman, and yes, I did. I said, you know what? You will all feel my pain. But it all starts with this guy. Blame him. He dressed appropriately for the show. There it is.
And he's the reason why I got my Classics Castle of Grayskull, just because you used to have that behind you every episode. I'm like staring at it, drooling.
I could feel the death stare from my wife upstairs looking down right now, going like, it's all your fault for us and it's all your fault for them. It's like, what's wrong with you, kid? And I'll just be there like, I love it. I can't help it. It blew my mind last year. My wife actually, she jumped in and bought Atlas and the Bear on pre-order for me for Christmas.
Wow.
Which that blew my mind. And then on top of that, there was a point where she goes, I really can appreciate this based on the artistry and the talent it takes to make these what they are. And she goes, doesn't mean I'm going to collect them, but I at least can see why it matters the way it does to you now compared to, when I first started doing it, she was like, it's literally just stuff on a shelf. Why? She didn't see, she's like, if it's not functional, I don't get it. And then when I had to sell stuff and we were trying to get through that year of her not working, she could see in my face, she's like, you're like half the man you were because of the fact that you have to do this right now for the family. And I'm like, I'm doing it because we need to do it, but do I want to do it? No. Like I sold all of the trolls I had for Mythic Legions. I sold a bunch of different figures from that, bunch of classics, a bunch of things. And honestly, I'm not going to say I'm glad I sold my trolls because I loved seeing them on the shelves. But now that I did this, I'm like, I don't know where the hell I put them. So it kind of worked out by accident that, it's like I gave those up. I had my Mondos, so I really can't complain. I got something really eye-catching and cool in the Grayskull, but
you get those amazing Ninja Turtles behind you too,
and the Ninja Turtles, which that's another one. Resistance is futile for me on them too this week. Today it happened. I went into I don't get to go shopping often. I stay away from Walmart. I stay away from Target for the most part. Sometimes because I know I'm going to do something stupid. Sometimes because I'm like, there's really no reason ours aren't the greatest at keeping things in stock. But in the last week, I went over there and they had the Secret of the Ooze 2-packs. And I was looking them up and down today, going like, I sold my foot ninjas when I was needing cash at one point. And I was like rebuying the turtles. I rebought Splinter and Shredder. And then I looked at the foot ninjas today and I'm like, I'm doing it. Like they literally had 3 left on the shelf. I took 2 of them because I really wanted to army build those. And I did not feel bad about that. But then later on, I'm also like, I noticed there's differences between them and the original 2-packs from the first movie. And then I'm like, well, now I went on eBay and I found somebody selling a lot for the 2-packs, 2 of those. So now I'm going to have 8 of the foot ninjas, which makes me really happy. But at the same time, I'm just sitting there going, you opened floodgates you really shouldn't have done in the last 2 weeks, and now you're just thinking everything. I need it all back right now. And like I said, like resisting temptation. I could have been strong a month ago, and this week is like I've gotten so weak it's ridiculous. So
Well, again, like one of the big things that we say is you can't collect it all. I know Bernie had asked about like the space and everything like that. I started that comics. It's always a good thing. And we touched on it a lot here. What do you do? Because you are eventually just going to run out of space. And with the amount of money we spend on toys, we can't just go get another mortgage to go buy another house just to
Yep.
fill with our toys, no matter how much we'd want to. I mean, maybe we could make our own like versions of a she shed or something like that. I know men have their man caves, but like having an external one, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, guys do it all the time for like their toys. They got their workshops and everything like that. And I say toys because power tools are toys. They're just a different kind of toy. Cars
True.
are toys. They're just a different kind of toy.
Yeah.
Right?
Football jerseys, that's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just, the figures playing sports on the screen. Those are your action figures. That's for some people.
Exactly right. It's kind of that whole thing. So, it's just one of these things. Like, would it be so wrong for me to get like a shed outside that I could keep climate controlled and put all my toys in and like build this whole separate thing for a lot cheaper than trying to get an addition added onto a house for it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't. Look, Chef Matey's guy right here. The he shed. Right? Right. So, I mean, it's really kind of like what it boils down to is like, the other big trying to resist that temptation is just where am I going to put it? And then I know a lot of us joke about, well, that's future me's problem because I want it and I have to have it now.
Yeah.
So Payne's bringing up the fact that this year he is less in on pre-orders because he went in on a lot of Kickstarters last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he did a lot of Kickstarters, like all in. So he's not really doing so much this year with it. He's not pre-ordering as much. And I think in some ways that helps, right? Because like we'll get hyped up, we'll get excited when these, digital renders get released and we're all looking at the figures and we're like, man, that looks amazing. I gotta have it. Like today, Hasbro dropped that Naugahyde figure and, he's coming with Yobo and Pork Belly. And man, you guys know me and my animals and stuff like that. Like I buy the G.I. Joes for the animal pets, not the figures themselves in most cases. And man, he is looking so good. Like, like he really is. Now, fortunately, like can't just knee jerk react and pre-order because he wasn't went up for pre-order. It's just an announcement that it's coming out. But it's like, is it better if I just don't pre-order and wait off until I can find it in store? Which I'm not saying I'm trying to do the clearance chicken because that doesn't always work out for me. Like I'll see it go clearance everywhere else in the country and it'll still be full price around me. Won't drop in price whatsoever. And the next thing I know, it's gone because they shipped it to a store where they're selling them on clearance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why didn't you just market that price here? I would have bought it.
Yeah. I mean, so I think one of the last pre-orders that I got in on, and I'm like, this might be the last time I worry about this, is the Mythic Legions one. And part of that for me was my wife jumping in and doing the Atlas and the Bearer part, and I was like, well, I do want to get 2 scapulars because I want to have one as the Emir, and then I want to have one a scapular. So I did that for myself, and then the more I looked at it, I'm like, I could still at least get the main ones that got me the most pumped out of this wave, and I'm calling it a day at that point. The thing too is, Oz, you being in Baltimore, me being in PA here, I mean, we live close enough that we can get to some of these conventions and they will be available, and they'll be available as close to those prices that the pre-order was as possible. And you're not even paying tax when you pay for it that way. So on top of that, it's easier for you and me to go and do that and even help a few people out if they want to have us help them out or whatever, versus you put all that money up front and then you're waiting for a year. Like, for instance, the Poxus wave just came out, and there's been people that have gotten some in hand, and they still haven't gotten the all-ins out because of how the shipping has worked out. I
Yeah.
got mine last weekend, and all I got the 2-pack of Poxus and the horse, and I got Azazahar, I think is his name. And it's really weird because the pre-order for the Sons of the Red Star and the Noble Bear pre-order are more in my head right now, and that's what I want. And when I got the Poxus ones, I was like, that was 2 years ago, me. And that isn't speaking to me the same way as the one that I just pre-ordered, that I'm like, that is my, both of those factions are my favorite factions, and that was what really got me. So then I'm looking at the new stuff I just got in, and I ended up selling both of them because I'm like, these aren't speaking to me the same way as the stuff that I just got in. And on top of that, I know I can get these again somewhere, and it's not going to make me feel bad that I guess they're in hand right now and I'm letting them go to people who want them more than I do right now, you know. And that was like, it wasn't even resisting temptation. It was just me looking at something and going, 2 years ago me would have lost my mind. Now 2024 me is looking at it and going, I know why I did this, but it really isn't what I need right now versus something else, which is interesting too. It's like, that's like a whole about face I did not expect getting those in. And it's not like they're bad. It's not like there's anything wrong with those figures. It was just the me now looking at something that made me excited from 2 years ago, but knowing everything that happened since then, going, it's okay. There's gonna be way. I got a bear I gotta figure out room for now instead of a third horseman or whatever, you know? That was more interesting to me at this point.
You know, and that is kind of the thing for us, Sean, that makes it a little easier to resist seeing those cheaper prices when Store Horseman has it available.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking about it, I know that Aaron probably gave me one of the best pieces of advice, and the best ways for me to be able to plan out the purchase, you know, kind of plan, right? Like, I was like, man, I want all of these because they look so good. And I was like, but I just can't afford all that. And, you know, because I'm trying to think of like, how many can I get from the Store Horseman? And he was like, well, just get what you really kind of want from the Store Horseman at that price, but then just do once a month through the retailers.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually quite genius and definitely quite affordable. Like, you got a monthly set budget then that you're looking at, because you know it's going to cost this much from the retailer.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay, well, there it is. That's what I'm spending on.
Yep.
But then you get surprised by other stuff that pops up because you're not sure. And then you've got weird little stretchy ghosts and new Ghostbusters toys that you have to get, because I'm really terrible at resisting cool Ghostbusters stuff. And when they started hitting the shelves, and I managed to actually, fortunately, I got them all, so I don't have to worry about it, except for the Fray Features ones, which I didn't get all those, but I will. You know, and I still kind of want to go back and collect the previous ones. So I know, like, the beginning or tail end of last year, I was saying, like, you know, I'm going to really narrow down the focus and everything like that. And mind you, this was collecting the ones from the previous movie were always kind of on my radar. But this new one with the new movie popping up, I mean, we don't get Ghostbusters, sadly, is not as evergreen as some of these other franchises that we love. So I kind of got to take it when I can get it, you know?
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't come up very often to collect more things. But that's more that nostalgia-driven purchase buy, because I loved Ghostbusters as a kid. And honestly, I mean, who can resist the little squishy, like, it's like playing with a movie prop right here. I love this. You know, like, I can't get enough of this. It's just something so fun about it.
Ghostbusters for me was probably top 3. If I maybe top, it was definitely in the top 5 of my absolute favorites from childhood. Like to this day, it still hurts me inside to know that you can't actually do it the way they do it in the movies and make money doing it, and it really hurts. Because if that was a profession, I would have been working 24/7, and all they'd have to do is just feed me, and I would just keep going out and getting ghosts left and right for those guys. I would love that job.
Right? Right?
Well,
I'm with you,
Do I
buddy.
get the proton pack? I'm with you guys.
there is a similar job out there, and it's called an exterminator.
I don't want that one. No, I don't want to
Okay.
use the chemicals. I want to like actually like blow things up using the proton
Yeah,
rounds
that's
and
true.
all
Yeah,
that stuff.
not
And
as cool.
it's no, not. I mean, you don't get to fight like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at that job. You get to like fight bugs, and I don't want to
Yeah,
fight bugs. Like, give me
rats.
ghosts. Those are
Yeah.
more interesting to me. But yeah.
I mean, you could always go the way of just going after the bugs with a flamethrower if you want to really just destroy stuff.
little John Goodman and Arachnophobia, perhaps.
There you go.
Right. I mean, he was pretty close to a Ghostbuster in that movie. Let's not mince words.
Absolutely.
He was a
I wouldn't
friggin'
want that,
rock
though.
star in that movie. Well, not against those spiders. Like, look, I love
No.
spiders. I got no problems with them and everything like that. I can totally go clear spiders out of your house, no problem. The spiders they were dealing with, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
So it's funny. I've gotten most of the way through the pictures you sent, Adam, and resetting this up as a slideshow for us. And then I forgot like one key detail of how you sent these and why you sent them that way. I forgot that from the chat. Now I'm remembering it. Don't worry, I'll be able to fix it up like that.
Okay.
It doesn't mean all this work I've been doing the whole episode will go to waste.
Okay.
It'll be cool. I promise.
Cool. Well, did we? One thing we didn't do at the beginning is like, what's one thing? Speaking of resisting, kind of. But is there something this week you're excited about? Either that you failed to resist temptation, or just something that you're just older thing that you're still excited about.
Really, right now, the big thing I will say is I kind of lean back there because my back was hurting a little bit. But as far as like that goes, like I don't have like any like real weekly pickups or anything like that I'm excited about. But just the news that's coming out, seeing people like when the crowdfund happened for Eternia, right? Like it seems like it was so long ago now, right? It was like what, end of 2022, going into 2023. We had to wait that whole year. Seeing people getting the shipping notices for Eternia has me. I don't even have one, but I'm excited because this is something that we haven't seen in almost 40 years anywhere, right? I mean, aside from, you know, what we see when we go into a vintage shop and they have one and it's mostly complete or not, you know. But just the fact that like that's finally coming. People are finally getting those in hand, or they're going to be getting those in hand soon. I think that's great, man. I am excited to see that. I cannot wait to see people's faces as they open these up and get them. I'm excited for the new G.I. Joes that are coming. We got 2 more Dreadnoks coming out later this year. The friggin' favorite sub-team of all G.I. Joe, the Dreadnoks. So I'm excited that that's coming. This is a very exciting news day, which definitely helps in it. And one of the best things that's got me hyped up and excited still, Masters of the Universe Revolution hitting the top 10 on Netflix and staying there going strong, which is something that unfortunately we did not get with Revelation, but with Revolution, it has hit that top 10 and has stayed there predominantly. And I mean, I'm not telling people to go fudge numbers, but if, you know, go watch it again, folks. Let's keep it up there for a while. Let's keep it up there for as long as we can. Keep watching this thing. Keep letting them see that number, because the more they know we're liking it and we're watching it, the more chances we're going to have of them ordering some more episodes and keep this going. You know, and that's what I want to keep seeing. Yeah, yes, so much. So much. I want to see where it goes from here.
I read something earlier tonight where Kevin Smith was saying they looked at the numbers from Revelation, and when they went back and met with Netflix, Netflix said, "We're not going to give you 10 episodes based on those numbers, but we'll give you 5." And that made them really tighten and really think about what they want to put into this one, for the fact that, they literally have half of the time to do a story. The smartest thing that ever happened was Netflix telling them you can only do 5 episodes, because I watched it the whole way through last week. I'm doing a rewatch in the last 24 hours. I'm on the third episode right now, and it is so much more concise, clearer, and less muddy and muddled for me to watch this show than it was to sit there and watch 10 episodes of something, especially when they break it in 2 parts. Not to even get into the negativity online that you had to deal with if you even wanted to enjoy this, and then you had to have all that blowing up in your face. But for me, it's just like it was night and day watching it. I literally was a pleasure to watch this. The first one, I'm like, it really feels like they should have done 5 episodes, and then this instead. But I'm glad they got a course correction with this one. So
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. I got to agree with you there. I was really, really worried about pacing, right?
Yeah.
Because the first one was a very lengthy story, I was worried heavily on the pacing of this series. But I gotta say, I think they nailed it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the shorter format packed in a lot more of the action that I know a lot of people wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed them, they were still able to tell a full, complete story with even some little twists and plots, but it kept you engaged from
Mm-hmm.
beginning to end. I don't think I've talked to one person who was like, oh yeah, like I watched the first episode and then I just went to go do something and I never got back to it. Every person I've talked to was like, I didn't want to stop watching,
Mm-hmm.
even if they had to take that break. Like every person
Absolutely.
I know said they did not want to stop watching.
The,
So that's really, really cool.
the thing that boggles my mind about Revelation to this day is it took that many episodes to get to the point of the story, and I couldn't even remember some of those story. Like, I completely forgot that Beastman got turned into whatever the hell he got turned into and dies, because there was so much crap happening. The Evelyn going nihilistic in it, that was stupid. I hated that. Her killing Heaven, and I was like, this is going to places it doesn't need to go to, and they are forcing this stuff at this point. It was like, let's just get He-Man back and have the big battle, and have it be more than one episode, and just kick it. And no, I am in no way a writer. I am in no way, no one would solicit me to write anything. But my issue with it is, why couldn't the story have been something as simple as, okay, maybe the first 5 episodes, it is a legit He-Man show. You don't even have to deal with all the garbage of people saying it's the Tila show and all that. Have it be a He-Man show. He's on an adventure. He's doing his thing. You get to find out who this new He-Man is, because he's not really Filmation He-Man. Let him have his time to grow on you as this version. And then by the end of those 5 episodes, it's not even a life and death moment where suddenly the sword is in half and he's depowered. So then the other half of it is now Adam having to basically go through trials to embrace the idea he's supposed to be worthy enough to wield the sword, whether it's Zodak coming in and doing the whole, well, the scales were out of balance, that's why the sword broke, here's what we got to do. and he ends up having to reclaim the title of being He-Man again and realizing what that means in the long term. You got your He-Man set up. So in this one, when it goes into what it goes into, that's some even deeper stuff to deal with, because it is a pretty deeper story, in my opinion. Taking him off the table, I know Kevin Smith in an interview was like, oh, well, I still stand by that. I'm like, I still think that was a really bad idea to this day. Like, it could have been addressed in a different way, even if it was just Adam being there and having to go through this and understand what the power means, what the power is to him, figuring out those kind of questions. Why him, and stuff like that, versus why not my father? He's the king of Eternia, and all that. And instead it went on what it went on. And that's kind of why I'm like, I'm happy to cliff note it. And then after that, I just want to watch Revolution and have that be the starting point now. So,
Right.
sorry,
Well,
that was my huge tangent, but I'm just saying I would have rather seen it where Adam is a player in it versus it just being Tila the whole time in the first half of that series. And it's not because I don't love Tila. It's just you take him off the board and you are going to get that negativity from everybody who's been waiting 20 years to watch a He-Man cartoon. So,
right. But I also appreciate the fact that we did get some more growth out of the Tila character, though, right?
yeah.
Because, I mean, again, she is kind of like, often just this backup to He-Man kind of thing. It was always a worthwhile dynamic due to the fact that, Prince Adam himself could never fight, but Tila always used to kick everybody's ass for him.
Yeah.
Which is a great dynamic, by the way. I always thought that was really cool that they, had her doing that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when without him being He-Man, she's actually the one that's kicking everybody's ass.
Absolutely. And it made sense in her case to be that next character. Yeah.
But, it was great to actually see her take spotlight to herself, which helped develop her into the decisions that she makes at the end with, well, do I even want to be this sorceress?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, now I'm all set up to be this thing. Do I even want it, though?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the beginning, I'm sure, it would have just been a no-brainer. Oh, yeah, I'll take over the mantle because, I'm already man at arms. So this is just a way for me to protect people even more as, the sorceress. Instead, I think we needed a little bit of doubt from her. And why do I even bother to do all this? Because these people clearly don't care about me. They didn't even trust me enough to tell me everything. But that's way off topic from us talking about resisting temptation.
That's true. That's true.
Which we've clearly all stated none of us can do properly. But there is one person.
Consistently.
Not consistently. Something always teases us a little bit more, and we're like, yeah, buddy. However, there is one member of this cast and crew who over the last year has showed more resilience than I think anybody else I know in toy collecting. Period. Hands down. Like, and that is our very own Bobby Dangerously. The amount of resistance he has shown, like for all of 2023, that man basically just did not pick up anything really new last year. Not much of anything at all. I mean, we all spoiled him a little bit, helping him out. Did the first random. He was the first random act of kindness, and it took, like, honestly, the longest to get it to him with his Mondo, that beautiful, beautiful Mondo trap jaw that he ended up getting. And sometimes I don't know how he does it. He'll have to update us in the comments or let us know later, like, how was he able to harness the willpower to resist so much cool stuff last year? Because there was a lot of good stuff that came out last year. I know Snake Men weren't everybody's jam, but Year of the Snake was a good one for me.
I just knew in talking to him, like it became a chore for him. Like he felt like he had, like there's that a lot of people get, sort of that completionist bug where, okay, everything in this line I have to pick it up, and then if it's, especially if it's retail, you gotta, checking all these stores and looking for it. I think it became a chore for him, um, and it became just kind of like, I don't. It can become kind of like you're not the master, the collection's the master, and you're just feel like
Mm-hmm.
you're getting whipped trying to pick up everything. And I think eventually something just kind of like, I gotta stop, I gotta pause. Which sometimes I fantasize like, okay, as soon as I get these last, figures in this whatever collection I'm going for, then I'm done. Then I don't have to worry about figures forever, which never seems to work out, right? That's never. There's always something else. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, Bobby, he just said like, okay, that's it. I'm taking a
Well,
break.
there is like I've done it plenty of times where I'll end up getting something and it's more just out of I haven't gotten something in a while, or oh, it belongs as part of such and such. And then by the time I get it home and I open it and I put it on the shelf, I'm like, I felt nothing. And that
Hmm.
is kind of a sign of, did you really need to do this or not? And I mean, we've talked about it a few times on different shows here where it's, curating your collection, what means the most to you that you absolutely need to keep and all that. And, in his case, he boiled it down to the vintage speaks to him, and that's his happy spot. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. And um same with me. It's the whole, I probably won't do anything other than Mondo or classics in my collection because those speak to me the way that the vintage speaks to him. Um, so like for me right now, I'm not buying anything masters at all. Like Origins, Masterverse, I buy Mondo and that's it. But it's like those lines haven't spoke to me at all because there's things about him that every time I look at him, I'm just like, it's not working for me on that level the way that I really wish it could. So I'm not interested in just constantly buying something just because of the name on it. I'm interested in, but is it something I want to go back to? Is it something that's going to make me smile when I see it on the shelf every time? And if it's a no, I'm not going to do it, even if it is Masters at this point.
Right. Like, you want your collection to speak to you in a certain way. With me, it's
Mm-hmm.
slightly different. Only in the fact that I do use these toys to play with Connor, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
play together
Yeah.
when he comes over. We get toys out, we get them down, we play. And he will go ham on just popping and swapping and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that, and just really enjoying the toys of them. So there are certain figures where like maybe didn't quite like gotta have it because I'm definitely not a completionist. I would have liked to have collected as much as I could have, and only left out things like con exclusives. Unfortunately, the reality of it is with the distribution not being at retail as well as it should have been, it made it nearly impossible for me to do that. And there's a couple of figures that I would have liked to have that I've missed out on that hopefully with fan favorites I'll be able to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've also just basically mostly pulled back from Masters of the Universe. So that's why I was really excited that we were getting that, announcement today about finally, we've had all the news about the Turtles of Grayskull. We had all the news with, some of the stuff that was supposed to be coming out this year kind of thing. But we didn't really get any idea of when we'd get that next Origins vintage line coming out. Like, well, when's that going to continue, right? Because you said you were going to do the rest of vintage origin,
Mm-hmm.
vintage line with Origins on Mattel Creations, and then the very next two things that dropped on Mattel Creations were Fangor and Lady Slither. It's like, so where's the vintage portion of the Origins? Because those aren't vintage.
Yeah.
Those are classics. The classics isn't quite vintage yet.
Mm-hmm. I think for some people it could be considered that now, but
Almost. Yeah, I'm almost collecting classics again. It's partially a nostalgia thing because I collected it back in 2012, 2013, like those few years after that. I played with them with my son, ended up selling them, regretted selling them, missed them, and it's almost like, just going back to that nostalgia thing. Besides, them just being amazing figures too.
When you had them originally and you had to let them go, was it just because you decided I'm good not having them, or was there you just had to sell them because of recouping, or?
Yeah, it was really at the time, that it was kind of when I was starting my blog, and I
Okay.
was getting really, really obsessed with vintage toys,
Gotcha.
vintage boxes, like getting like a lot of those went to buy things like Castle Grayskull box, Battle Ram in the box, a Wind Raider in the box, and
Mm-hmm.
at that time those were semi-affordable things.
Yeah.
They've gotten a lot more expensive now. So that's kind of where that went. And I felt at the time we don't have the budget for me to be able to do both, and I got to
Gotcha.
decide. And so that's the way that went.
Gotcha.
But I always missed them when they were gone. I didn't think I would be able to get them again, but slowly, just kind of focusing on it. Like, okay, instead of spending $25 this month on something I found at Target, I'm just going to put that aside, and
Yeah.
then eventually I'll get a classics that's more expensive.
Yeah. No,
Well, and that's
it worked well with your plan, and I'm glad that it worked out in that way. At least you weren't just selling them just to, I got to pay a bill, or say it
Yeah,
worked within your hobby, and it helped you get the stuff that you needed to get that off the ground with your blog, and that's great. So
and that's the important part. Like, you really grow your collection in a way that works for you, because that's what's going to make you the most happy in the end, right? And
Mhm.
that's what we all want from these is that joy. We want to be happy. We want to experience that.
Mhm.
I know I talk with my sister quite frequently. Um, she she never really like displayed a collection or anything like that, and now, since hanging out with this wonderful community and being a part of it, she's realized, you know what? Yeah, I am going to let my geek flag fly, and I'm going to show off my collection in my house, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm just going to stop caring what other people think.
Oh
Somebody
yeah,
comes over and they think that looks weird. Well, hey, you know what? That's cool. You know
there's
what?
the door.
I've got this really amazing Lord Darkness from freaking Legend over
Yeah.
here, Tim Curry greatness, and you're missing out on that.
Hmm.
Because that's
No,
what it is. Like,
absolutely.
somebody else is just missing out. May not mean any. Uh oh. I know what that noise was. What happened back
some
there?
something fell over. I'm not seeing which. Some figure. I'll have to hunt it down.
It wasn't Classics Gray Skull, because otherwise we would have heard a lot of bad words, probably.
Yes. I don't know what it is. I
I was
don't
gonna
see
say, I
anything though.
know. I see Attorney and Royalty has joined the chat here, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not entirely paying attention to what's going on in the chat. I'm trying to finish up with these slides here, as we're carrying the conversation. But Mike, I see you in there, Attorney and Royalty. He's got some really creepy footage live, man, where this Jitsu just takes a tumble off of his shelf frequently.
Hmm.
And it's pretty creepy, man. Like, he's got either a haunted Jitsu or a haunted shelf. I'm not sure which one's actually haunted, but something creepy's going on there. And I
One more thing.
think
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I think I am just finished here finally.
Cool.
I'll have to download it, and then I'll have to upload it, and then we'll be good to go. But I think I fixed everything so it could be in the display format that you wanted, Adam, because I like that idea, and I can't believe I forgot about it when I started making everything. And one thing I did want to ask, Adam, at the very end, did you just kind of want it to go into that bonus image, or do you want like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
space before the bonus image?
No, that's fine. We can that the bonus thing is just for fun, just at the end.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I've got this all set. I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I'm also trying to
Well,
make sure that we can read the names.
while you're checking that, Skelly wanted us to remind people about the Eternia Land #EterniaLand contest,
Yeah.
where you are putting together, doing a drawing. It doesn't matter if you're an artist, but do a drawing of like a Masters of the Universe themed theme park. So like Disneyland, but if it was Eternia. Uh, Deadline is February 22nd. Email your submissions to skelly.vade.or@gmail.com. So just 21 days left on that. So be sure to submit your drawings.
Mm-hmm.
These are not being graded on artistic talent. Oh, I see Nolan saying hi, Skelly. It wasn't Skelly. That was me. When it's on his channel and whoever is commanding the ship here types into the chat from StreamYard, it'll pop up as Skelly, but it's not Skelly. It's me. So again, guys, unfortunately, he is not here with us tonight, physically, but he is always here in spirit.
Oh yeah.
So, yes, February 22nd. Get all your submissions in for the Eternia Land drawing because, artistic talent, we're not grading on it, folks. Just put it together. Make it really kick ass, Sorry, Grandpa, I cussed on your channel. I always cuss on his damn channel.
Yep.
All right, so let me get this downloaded here, and I think, it's really that many pages? Yeah, because I'm doubling them up. This thing went from like 33 images that you sent me to a total of 57 because the way I did it. Whoa. All right, so that's downloading, which means this might skip a little bit. So, what makes something? Yeah, I know we're talking about ways of trying to resist temptation. What makes it absolutely irresistible? Like, I'll tell you one for me. They announced that motherfucking bear. That's FUGGIN, folks. They announced that freaking bear, and I lost it. Like the moment it got shown off, like I'm mid work day. I'm glad I was not on a call that immediate second I saw the picture get posted. All you beautiful people were up in Legion's Con, and I was like, whoa. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. There was a lot of speculation beforehand. And just yes. Everything about that bear completely irresistible to me. I've been waiting for something like that for ages. Closest thing to that for me was like the war bears, that a lot of people are throwing in like their Mythic Legions collection from 5K, like those guys. Or is it 5K or Hot Toy? I don't know. One of those other companies. The ones the war bears. And other than that, like the Build-A-Figure Ursus from the Marvel Legends. That was another big one for me.
Mm-hmm. So one that I remember I was doing everything in my power to get was the deluxe He-Man from Mondo. And that one for me, it was packed with every single thing I could think of that said He-Man to me. And they went back, they revisited what they had originally, and there were people who weren't thrilled with that initial He-Man that they offered, and so they came back and they're like, let's just go the way that he should look, and let's do it up with some details like Mondo will do, but for the most part, it is going to feel like you have a giant, legit original He-Man from Mondo finally, and I was like salivating over that figure, and then to think that, oh my god, there was also a Battle Cat later that came out for it. I mean, it's like there was so much of like, I can't let this pass me by, even though the price point was something that scared me at first. But I was like, if I want this bad, I'll take the hit for it, and because I didn't know if I mean, Mondos typically, I wouldn't say they double in price, but they're at least 100 or more over what you already paid from them. And just everything about that figure just screamed like, this is what you wanted all along, and we're finally giving it to you. So I could not resist that. And then from there it was, okay, now I need Skeletor, now I need Battle Cat, now I need Beastman. So it's been
Just
a slippery slope there.
Skeletor.
That's how I get you.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
There we go. Speaking moistly, memory toys. That's the one.
Yeah. So for me, like of like the last 5 years, new stuff coming out. It was the Origins Lords of Power 5-pack. Because I remember where I was at work. We were at like a career fair or something, and I popped on my phone, like somebody had posted these images of these prototypes these images that had never been seen. And I was like, 2 years into my blogs, I jumped on that right away. It's like, making sure, okay, I gotta save all this in case it gets deleted. And, as soon as I got home, I like contacted the guy and, hey, could you send me, your original images? I'd love to write a story about this. And then put together an article within a day about these, prototypes that had never been seen before. Most of them hadn't. And I get really excited about like the origins, like the early concept He-Man stuff, like the original Mark Taylor, Tony Guerrero stuff, and those, the Akela mini comics stuff. So this just scratched that itch that we hadn't really gotten ever, just in that to that level. Even in classics, they did some nods to mini comics, but they were never like, we're going to do the exact Skeletor with the shin guards and the colored in bat on his chest, and to that level of fidelity. So that was just like, I don't care. When that was announced, the PowerCon exclusive, I was just like, okay, I don't care if I have to sell a kidney. That's coming to my house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it like it's happening now.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you. Like, if I had been able to at that time, I definitely would have tried to go for that. Like right now, there are not many pieces of Origins that are out there that I feel like I still really want to have in this collection. But that Lords of Power 5-pack, hands down to me, just screams, I really want that for the collection. I love that the case looks like the old big collector's cases from the kid. Like, I love that packaging. I love those designs of the characters. And even though we got like the Lords of Power Merman retail release, we got the Lords of Power Beastman release, right? Like the normal ones at retail. That's cool and all like that, but just that whole 5-pack itself was really, really something special. And another piece that's kind of like that, but doesn't do it just as much for me, was that original He-Man and Prince Adam 2-pack when they announced the launch of the line. That's another one where, like, if I were to find that at a more reasonable price that I think that I could get or had the ability to get at the time, I do not believe I would pass that up. Like, I'd just cave instantly. Like, no matter how many Mythic Legions I could buy or anything else like that, if I was in a position where I could afford those, I'd be like, yes, I'm getting these, because they just there's something about those to me, and especially the 5-pack over that 2-pack, right? That 5-pack to me, because I had the collector's case as a kid with the derpy little trays that broke and everything else. But oh man, like, there's just something about it, the whole thing that calls to me is really something special.
There was concept art online. Emiliano Santalucia posted it a few years back, And it was the whole idea of, okay, they're saying that we're kind of at the very end of classics, which to me is like, no, you're not. There's still so much more you could have done with that line before you started other lines. But that, neither here nor there. But Emiliani actually did. Here's a way of reinvigorating it by doing the Mark Taylor design stuff, and he drew up the prototypes using the bucks of the classics figures, and he was going to make them look pretty much like the Lords of Power, and that had me like jaw on the floor going, absolutely, like it's my favorite buck for Masters, and it's also an artist that I know is going to respect the vision of what Mark Taylor was trying to do. I was like, if I would have been more, I'll sell a kidney if they would have done those, because that was a brand and that was the versions that were really speaking to me. Like I can completely understand the idea, they did the 5-pack somehow, like you guys are talking. But like when I saw those, and I had those downloaded on my phone from a few years back, and it's the whole, I'd look at those and it's that Wolverine touching the picture frame, doing the what could have been if they would have just kept the line going, and they could have had those be the reinvigoration of that line. But yeah.
I every couple of years I post about that, his drawings of that proposed. I'm just like, man, I wish they would have done this. This would have been the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you guys think of it? Got posted earlier this week. Some people were thinking that Axel Jimenez actually drew it up himself, but that was not the case. It was actually a fan had thrown together like all that original kind of poster art and stuff for, and some of the actual packaging art that we did eventually get with the releases that did come out. The Powers of Grayskull line. Now, Axel did post it himself, but he made sure to credit the artist who had done it. And then he, later some other pages posted it saying, "Oh, Axel posted this." It's like, no, Axel didn't. He posted it, but he did not create that. That's not what that is.
Right.
But that really, who would like to have that poster of all that Powers of Grayskull stuff that was thrown in there? And mind you, there was some other stuff that was added to it that wasn't an original, any of the original Powers of Grayskull art. But did you guys see that this week?
I did, yeah. That was Mantisaur 82. He's been around for a while. He was on the org. He used to post a lot of cool stuff. Did you see that, Sean?
No, I missed that.
I'll send you the link to Axel's post about it. It is really cool, Sean.
Okay.
Might just drop the link in the chat.
Yeah. So it's kind of
because I went through and I was checking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean it's basically a cool mashup of box art for like Titus and Megator, and the Preternia poster by William George, concept art for Gigantosaur.
Yep.
Eternia
nope, we're not
box
ready for this
art,
yet.
I think.
I didn't mean to do that.
Oh. But it's actually pretty seamless. It
Don't worry
looks
about
like it all goes together.
Yeah.
But the way it's presented, it really does make you wish, like, oh, it'd be great to have all of these together in a line where you could sort of do this kind of scene.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a phenomenal piece. So do you guys think we'll get some more Powers of Grayskull now that we're getting Eternia, and we kind of had that? We've seen the look of that Modi box art.
Yeah. My guess is they'll at least do like Hero and Eldor in Origins. I really hope they do Titus and Megator, because those are, I mean, they're technically the vintage figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are. They came out. We just didn't get them here, but they came out.
My question is the dinosaurs. Just because I know there's no, like, those are all unique tools. It's a little bit probably more risky for them to do uh, those. But even though I'm not necessarily collecting origins other than a few that I have, I would love to see them do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be cool if they teamed up with another studio who already had like a kind of tooling that would work. And I mean, I know Mattel does dinosaurs for Jurassic Park, and that's why they don't really release any other kind of dinosaurs because of the licensing with Jurassic Park. That's why we'll never see Dino Riders as long as Mattel sits on the throne of Dino Riders. But I will say, like, teaming up with somebody like maybe Creative Beast Studios. I mean, they already did the Bionatops homage on the Beasts of the Mesozoic Triceratops box, right? Like, that was really cool to see. And, yeah, just go slap some guns and shit on it, right? Let's do it.
Yeah. That's the design ethic for Eternian dinosaurs. Slap some guns on it.
Slap some guns on it. It's as much effort needs to take to make Eternian dinosaurs. All right, there we go. The one that I missed, I corrected. I'm just double checking these slides again. I had to re-download the whole thing because I missed one.
Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry.
Not your fault. That was me. I checked over the thing like 3 times and managed to miss that every time before I downloaded it the first time. But now I think I have it. I'm one last check through. I don't want to go through everything and be like, oh, I missed 2. Now, one of them, most of them, I did a really good job of just duplicating the page and removing words on one of them. But one of them, I ended up moving around the second image to fit the words. So it's not as nice, but I think we're good. Okay.
Good.
Now I got to go all the way back to the beginning. If you can hear me rapidly clicking, that's what it is, folks.
But are you ready to do the Bobby announcer voice?
I can't do Bobby's announcer voice. I don't sound Chicago-y enough. I don't. I can't sound like the old-time radio guy.
I threw my hat in the ring on another podcast that has started doing stories and doing like the sound effects and music when they do the stories and the dialogue. And I was just like, if you need an Optimus Prime, I can do that. And they have nothing to do with Optimus Prime, but I can do that. That's not it.
I am Optimus Prime.
I am Optimus Prime. Transform and roll out.
There you go.
There you go.
It's
Sean's ready. Sign him up for G1.
Battle Ram blog.
There we go.
I
That's
might
it.
be
That'll
from another toy line, but damn it, transform and roll out. Take it away, Adam. Until all are one. No wait, I have the power.
Now we need a transforming battle, right?
Well, it is a battle ram. It kind of makes sense. It's yeah.
All right, we got the music, but not the image.
It's time. There it is. All right. Sorry, it gets a little pixelated there, folks, when I enlarge that one. But now it just looks like we need the Battle Ram and He-Man in 8-bit format. Actually, it's more like 16-bit, but that's cool. I'll take it. Super Nintendo He-Man video game.
Nice.
All right, folks. Here we have it. This week's Battle Ram blog. Adam, please take it away, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. So this week I thought it'd be fun to go over some early working titles. So not final names that for some of the vintage figures that usually were created by the designer or somebody working on the toy line, but then marketing swooped in and said, nope, we're gonna name it something else. So there's quite a few of those. Some of these will probably be familiar to a lot of you. Some of them may be new to you. But I thought that'd be fun to go over a pretty fairly comprehensive list. Not it's not everything, but it's a lot of things. A lot of the names that we know of. All right, so
Adam had
let's
the
yeah.
great idea to set this up as a game, folks. You see the image. We want you to drop what those early names might be in the chat. And then we're going to reveal to you what those early names are. So drop your picks in the chat of what you think the early names to these figures were.
Yeah, and just a hint for some of them, there's more than one. So
Yes. All
there
right,
may
let's
be more
cue
than
it
one
up.
answer. All right, so the man, the myth, the legend, the most powerful man in the universe, He-Man. Let's see what are some of the early names for He-Man before he was He-Man.
What do you folks think in the chat? Y'all been crazy all night in there. Now you gonna ham up now?
Man, he.
Man, he. We got Ray or Ree. See, Anryu saying Kiernok.
Conan.
Birdie. Yeah, Conan. What is good, Conan? Ragnarok here. Kenny says Muscle Man.
Muscle Man.
Yeah, the Vicor, Vicron. Apparently, Question Man.
The Riddler.
We got.
That's what he meant.
That's right. Yeah, right. The Riddler. Riddle me this, Skeletor. Doesn't have the same ring. A-Man.
Hey, man.
Let's see. We got Torok. Ray Black says that one guy. That one guy.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So just as we bring up the photo of the character, drop what you think some of the earlier names are in the chat, or if you know them, and then we're going to reveal what a lot of those are, and we'll see who all in the chat was right. So just drop some of those. Some of these are going to be a little twisted. And Thanos has got nothing for once. He's lost for words. Hulk. Zach.
I like this
Cobweb says Carl.
Carl. Drives trucks. Beastmaster. It looks a lot like Beastmaster, yeah.
Right? I think we got big sexy muscle guy. Hey, Roger Sweet may have been thinking that.
Hey.
Savage Man. There you go. Upvote for Carl. Hercules. All right, Adam, let's go ahead and let's see what we got here.
All right. Yes. Torak. Somebody said something very similar to that. Mm-hmm. Megaton Man, Mighty Man, Vicon, and Vicor. I think a couple people knew those last two. The first name Torak, that was from Mark Taylor from his original 1979 drawing. And then when they were pitching it in late 80, December 1980, Roger Sweet came up with Megaton Man, Mighty Man, Vicon, and Vicor. Not Vicron, by the way. That was something that was changed in classics for some reason. They called one of the prototype figures Vicron. But when Roger Sweet came up with the He-Man name, that's the one that everybody, the famous documentary where he goes bong. That's the one that stuck. Everybody seemed to like that one the best.
He-Man, I can't forget this name. It's so dumb. But I mean, let's face it. Yes, it is a very dumb, unoriginal name, but it's stuck.
It did stuck. Yes.
It's stuck. I'm okay with that.
Can I ask a question on that? Actually, if the name was not He-Man, do you think it would have been maybe embraced differently than the tongue-in-cheek that it ended up being because of the name?
It may have contributed to kind of
the
campiness of it.
Yeah. I mean, it worked for me as a kid because He-Man, two simple words together.
Right, you can pronounce this.
Exactly, but then when you find out, other people in history, oh, come on, be a real He-Man, and you're like, oh, this is where it came from. It's not like
Ooh,
Conan or something where it's got that like
yeah,
there's some grit to it or whatever. You know what I mean?
right.
You know,
Yeah,
it took me forever before I just realized that he's basically named Man Man. Like I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It did not dawn on me my whole childhood that his name is Man Man.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it didn't quite dawn. Like it just didn't factor in that he's got a really dumb name, and like I thought it was the coolest thing ever as a kid. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. I really don't know if it wouldn't have, but um,
yeah,
honestly, I'm glad it is though, right? Because I think that's part of truly what endeared it to us as kids was the simplicity of the name of the hero, right? Like
yeah. And it's not something you're
young,
gonna forget. You might forget
Mm-hmm.
no,
Daikon, like if you saw it at the store, but He-Man, that's gonna stick with you for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Grandparents, parents, everybody can say He-Man, and I mean it was so popular and easy to say that most people like don't even think of the fact that the show was called Masters of the Universe, except for us diehards, right? It was always like He-Man's on the TV, like that's what it was, you know. So MK777 has asked, wasn't Hero his name before they made Hero?
No. Actually, you know what? I should have done Hero because he had a different name too. I was only going on vintage toys that actually got made. But yeah, no, Hero was one that they came up with for Hero. His are like I think. Oh yeah, his first. So he was originally going to be Gray Skull, and then his alter ego was Gray, but then they changed him to Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was basically he was the originator of Grayskull as in terms of the power on Eternia. But then they changed that at some point to Hero, so that's original to that character. It was not a He-Man name.
Hmm.
All right, so let's move on to our next slide, and I'll still bring up some more of these comments here. All right, folks, start dropping them in the chat. What do you think our wonderful friend Duncan, Man at Arms, was called first? Was he just Man, like you had He Man, and then he was going to be Man, the man's man, the man? He's a G Man.
Could be Clubman.
It's so. Speaking the minimal German that I do these days, because I've forgotten most of it, I like that David brings up a very good point. Translated, he would be called Man, and that's two N's, because that's how they do the ER is how you label something as masculine or he. And yeah, it would have been called Man. Like, I think that's even worse than He Man. I'm glad that, they didn't bother to translate it when they brought it over.
In France, He-Man was called Musculor, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of great. It's
I
it's kind of
like
as
that one.
almost
Great.
almost as silly as He-Man, but really memorable.
All right,
Um,
so we got some chats here. Let's see. We've got Thug,
Hmm.
Man at Legs. Does have those legs. We got Man at Work, Paladin.
Paladin is that's not on the slide, but that is what Mark calls the early version, kind of the Primo 2 version of the design. But that I don't think that was actually the original name. I think that was a name that Mark came up with for his portfolio. If you've ever seen the very first version of this character, which was for kind of like a space Robin Hood's type line, he was repurposed for Masters. But Paladin is a name that at least Mark Diller came up with for this guy.
Maybe that's what we'll have to do in another episode. We'll have to get foreign names for the characters.
There's some cool ones.
Yeah. All right, let's flip it over and see what we got.
Armsman.
Arms Man.
That's it.
This is what I remember
That's
them
it,
mentioning a lot
yeah.
in the documentary, Arms Man, because he had the arms, right? Like, he's
Yeah.
master at arms, sergeant at arms, Arms Man.
Yeah, that's what you see in some of those early Bishis, just says Arms Man on it.
Yep. Speaking moistly says, it's not fair. Allison knows all this stuff. Well, she had to learn it from somewhere, and now we can learn from her. And then places like Battle Ram blog, there are places where we can go to learn these things. And that's what's the amazing part. Like, it's out there. I mean, we took a big blow to a big database and backlog of information, but the information's still out there. Somebody's got it. All right, folks, let's move on to the next one here.
All right. This is another one where I put one name. I've got one name for her, although there was technically another term for her on the B sheet. Not really a name, though, more of a description.
Right.
But see if you can come up with either of them.
And it's
Girl
simply
Man.
putting the girl man. Cobweb saying the goddess. Snake goddess. And Allison says to Adam, I learned it from you. Bernie says it's Barbie. She woman. She man. She woman. T la. T la na. And they called her that when making her the girl. Yeah, probably. It was a big boys club back in the 80s, so probably the girl. Anryu goes, whoa, man, which this one I remember. Sorceress, to become one, right? Speaking moistly says mommy. I think that was supposed to be M-A-M-I. Sheila. And Cobweb saying Tilana.
Nah.
We got Tila la 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 la, like Cobra. Cobra la la la.
That's pretty good.
La 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 la. All right. In Germany, she was Princess of Eternia, but not related to Randor or Adam. She's still adopted daughter of Duncan. Weird, but that's how it worked. Okay. All right. Well, let's go through and see what do we got.
Allison was right. Tila. So actually, I mean, this is one. This is what you see basically from the mini comics, because that's how the early spelling of her name was T-Ma. There was some discussion of Woe-Man in one of the documentaries. That's the one I forgot about. On her actual B sheet, though, it just said female warrior, which I didn't really count as a name. That's just really a description of who she was.
Yeah, it's strictly a description type thing. And yeah, I agree. Like, I do remember the Woe Man, or Woe-Man portion, because they were really dead set on calling everything man. I think it was because maybe they were doing like a lot of coke or smoking a lot of doobies.
Probably.
And they were always just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say too much because then I'll give away some future guesses here. But... All right, guys. And now we have this wonderful picture of Joe Amato. What was his original name? I hope you're watching, Joe.
Amator.
Peg warmer.
Thanos, are you secretly Joe Amato?
Oh man. We got all the Birdmans. I love Peg Warmer. I think Peg Warmer is a great name. I want to make a toy called Peg Warmer. I want to make a toy line called Peg Warmers. Wingman. Birdman. So, you could at least call him Harvey first. Big Bird. Pretty Lomax saying Falcon. And David saying Wingman. Sean Connery.
But of course, dear.
Spent 30 years on the rock.
Non-naked
man. Eagle Man. Allison mentioned it. Wingman. Only the MC version was a leg warmer, though. Okay, peg warmer. But yeah, leg warmers were cool too. I'm down for those. Yeah, the the more recent mini comic version was definitely a peg warmer. Still warming pegs around here. My creepy uncle in a Halloween costume. Okay.
Ooh.
Sure. Yeah, we're down. Yeah. Man feathers. And Airman at one point as well. And saying Joe Amato. That's right. All right, let's go ahead and flip it.
Wingman and Birdman. A lot of you guys got that one. Airman, I'm not sure. That I may have heard that at some point, but I don't have. If that was one, I don't have a source for that immediately. Something to look into. But definitely Wingman and Birdman.
There we go. All right, folks. What do we have here for the big bad himself, Skeletor?
Bone Dome.
Just realizing, and I can't unsee it now, but the crossbones on his chest, the bottom portions are really weirdly positioned, and I can't unsee it now. Sean sees it too, and I've ruined this image forever for Sean.
Oh, I still love the image. It's not ruined. It's just he's just very happy to see us.
He's poking through.
He's poking through.
I didn't realize for some reason.
Something for Thanos to mess with next time.
I don't know why. After all these years, I see it this time. D-man. Right? You can't not see it now.
I can. In the last couple of weeks, my kids got to see the Meet the Parents movies and stuff, and all I can hear now is, "I've got nipples, man. Can you milk me too?"
Bonehead. We got a lot of people going in for D-Man and Demo Man, which, again, bam, we got the D-Man.
Yep. Sometimes spelled with just like a D-man, sometimes D-E-man.
Mm-hmm.
There was in classics, Scott and Alex said that they found something that said an early name was Demo Man. I haven't seen that. Could be
outside of that.
Yeah, but some things, D-Man was definitely heavily in the mix.
So he's asking about the uneven 6/8 pack. I mean, he definitely worked out his right side way more than he worked out the left side in this image. Yeah, it looks like, it's kind of like a corn cob thing going on. What would be his right side on there.
You want to pour some butter on me and find out?
Check out
what the hell's wrong with you people?
We hear the story of Skeletor being inspired by a real corpse. So metal. Absolutely, right? Like, it's one of the greatest stories ever. Skelismurf. All right, folks, moving away from Demo nipples.
Furface.
All right.
What else did Skeletor call him in the cartoon?
Fleabag.
Fleabag, yeah.
Fleabag from time to time. He called other people Fleabag too, which was funny. Exactly, speaking moistly. And there was the whole thing where they didn't call him Lord. They didn't call them Lords of Power because the religious connotation that D-Man, right. I can't say would have went well either.
Right. Yep.
Furry Tree Man. Bigfoot man. You know what they say about guys with big feet?
Big shoes.
Yep.
That's what they say.
Big socks. Gorilla. Dogman. That's definitely how Skeletor treated him.
This is true.
Ape Man. Man of Wookiee. Savage Man. Whippoor. That definitely would not have aged well either. Monster Man. B-Man. Right? We had D-Man. We got B-Man. There's a
Sure.
C-Man. Oh, I didn't think about that one. Carl's mother.
Damn it, Carl. He's back again.
Guys with big feet make great clowns and terrify Oz. Beast Ore. Orange Ape, Grape Ape's cousin. I could just Google this, but that's no fun, right? Like, that takes the fun out of it if you're Googling it.
Tree Man and Beast Man all one word. So yeah, Allison got it right. I think somebody else mentioned that. This is, again, they got stuck on this. Everything has to rhyme. D-Man, Tree Man, He-Man.
Right.
But yeah.
Daywalker? Okay.
Oh, I think I knew this one.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us
If you
know
think you
this
do,
one.
then you probably do. Fish face, inflammation.
Yep. Gillman. We'll pop up the proper spelling of how they did it, Kenny. Thank you. It's in the clubhouse, folks. Skelly doesn't necessarily want to pop that up on here.
You'd have to go around saying, yes, there's an A in my name all the time. If that was your name.
Seaman with an A. Then you got a whole bunch of kids saying, when don't we spell C with the A? Oh, a fish man.
Fish fingers.
Ocean boy. Creature man. Aquaman.
Aquaman,
Yes.
there you go.
Yes.
Seaman. You are correct. One of the most memorable.
That was right. This whole thing is proof that anybody can do their jobs, because these are horrible.
Just the worst names ever.
I mean, He-Man still doesn't like win me over no matter what, but I mean, I get it. But it's like, seriously, if you don't look at Skeletor and just say that's Skeletor, I mean, no, D-Man, yeah, all right.
Like Ace's choice, Sardine.
I like that one too, though.
Sardine would work.
They could have called him
Sar-Dean. I like that.
And the thing is, they could have made it part of his character. He's the sardine that's sarcastic, and then he could have just been sarcastic through the whole show. That would have worked.
Ocean, or somebody said that was the French name for merman.
Yes. Yeah, it was a little bit further up. I think it was Moistly brought it and said it.
Yep.
Homme de merde. Or merde. I don't know. I don't speak French. No parlez-vous français.
All right. What was Zodak called?
Cyber. Guys, if I'm calling it out, that's probably not right, since I know all the answers that Adam has here. So don't necessarily use what I say as what it is. We got votes for Mega Man. Yes. Gilzor. I'm thinking this is going back to Merman there. We got Censor. Chairman. Armchair Man. Galactic Man. Wonder Man. Cosmo, the As Man. Oh, know why he was called Oceanor? Because merman in French is homme de mer, but it sounds like homme de merde. Which, oh, okay. Got it.
Zapor.
Zapor. I like that one.
Buck Rogers.
Roger. We don't know what side he's on, man. Spaceman. We're just going to call him Spaceman. Captain Future.
There you go.
We got another vote for Spaceman. So we've got to hyphenate everything.
Sensor.
Sensor.
The idea being like his helmet would give him enhanced senses. Was the original idea
Yeah.
there.
Totally makes sense, right? That's why it looks like he's got such big ears and kind of like a big nose thing. Yeah. I dig it. The big eyes, right?
Mhm.
Extra sensory.
Zorda is a little bit like Zorda's. A little, you get the red
Right.
costume showing a lot of skin.
Right? It's another one of my greatest movies, Zardoz. If you haven't seen it yet, look it up. Sean Connery, Zardoz.
Of course, dear.
It'll make your panties drop.
I did that to your mother last night, Trebek.
What is the sound that a dog makes? Moo. All right, folks, you know what the real name is. We all know what that name is for this one. It's one of our favorites here. But what were they thinking about calling this one?
This one might be one of the more tricky ones because it does not appear on any B sheets with this name. It was just mentioned. It was mentioned independently in a couple of interviews with Ted Mayer and Mark Taylor. They both called it this name, which is me. Basically, I'm extrapolating. That's probably what it was called originally. So it's a little bit slightly less solid than some of the others.
The still needs to be made in Origins RAM.
There you go.
Right? We need to finish this out. We need to get the whole thing, Mattel. Come on. So we got a Ram shuttle. This was the Billow Bike.
Billow bike. There you go.
Battle Chariot. Rocketeer. Battle Tank. Ramor. Woohoo. Mega Tank. Atom Tank. Yes, the concept name was Atom Tank. And that's actually what they were going to call it. And Adam's parents thought it was so cool, they named him Adam instead. And then they were like, we're going with Battle Ram.
That was it.
Mobile artillery. I mean, just to put it plainly, speak moistly, if you will.
Ramrod.
Ramrod. Team Ramrod. Say Team Ramrod. Land Ram.
Yeah. Oh, the Battle Ram block. Yeah, both of them in audio interviews that I've got there, I have them saying Land Ram when they're trying to reference the Battle Ram. Kind of interesting.
Neat. Yeah, so it was probably like something that they were like, yeah, we're going to call it the Land Ram kind of thing, which, it's cool. I like Battle Ram more. I definitely like Battle Ram more.
Battle Ram's kind of the perfect thing for it, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's like perfect. All right, guys. The Man-E Faces. What do you think they used to call him? Oh, we had another late comer here, Ram Ranch. What do we think we called Man-E Faces before we had Man-E Emotions?
A fewy faces.
Face Off Man. Blockhead. He is quite blocky.
Dark Helmet.
As opposed to the Sea Ram or Air Ram. Multi-pore. Spin Face. Multiface. Two-man E-Faces. All right, guys, let's check it out here. Allison didn't chime in this time. This was Mascara. They named him
You kind of tell
Mascara.
why they would
Yeah.
go that way. Yeah, mascara.
You know, it was funny when I was looking it up and I was throwing it on there. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool because like a mask and all like that, right?" And then, like now that I said it out loud, I'm like, "Wow, yeah, okay."
Mhm.
I definitely get it now. That was dumb. Traitor. Ooh, I like that.
Pretty cool. We try tour too.
Yeah, Tritor. All right,
Mr.
folks.
Ram Man.
You sure this guy wasn't Ramor?
That would make sense.
You know, maybe it's Maybelline.
Concussor.
Named after an eyelash cosmetic, right? Yeah. Edna Jaror. Stumpy. Headbutt. Bullman. Jumpor. Springman. Springback. Boltman, which wouldn't have been taken at the time, so they probably could have done that. Steelhead. Brain damage. Well, that's the result for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Humpty Dumpty's cousin Cliff, who was also on Cheers. Underground Ram.
Joe's just he's on a theme tonight now. That's it.
Hammerhead. Right? We're actually going to see a whole lot of customs from Joe in the next couple of weeks of just Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Hans Hammersmith in one of the protos, I think. Man Ram. Spring back like the ram, like animal. There you go. Or spring bok, like the ram, like animal. Got it. Ooh, I like this one. Impactor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with that. Impactor.
Yeah, Hercule and Jumping Jack Flash. There were several iterations of the design. One of them, one of the more dwarf-looking, kind of traditional, like dwarf, like Lord of the Rings type of character was called Hercule. And Jumping Jack Flash.
I can't
Right.
even
More for
picture
the action. You know, and I gotta say, like Hercule makes sense too, because there's not many. Again, most of the arms, again, on the standard figures were all like the same, kind of like same build, you know, same buffness. But like Ram Man did always feel like he had bigger arms than He-Man, right? And He-Man's the most powerful, but this guy looked like, you know, he'd beat him in a competition of weightlifting in a lot of ways, just because he was that bigger, bulkier figure. Definitely always wanted to get like the huge upscaled version of Ram Man, right?
Yeah.
You know, like Filmation really marred him by making him this short, dumpy looking character. And I get it because, like, yeah, if you looked at like the figure itself, it looks like he might be a short, dumpy figure. But and again, with his original design being more dwarf-like, I can totally see why they would have went that way. But I just like thinking of this guy who was like bigger and buffer than He-Man, like just destroying shit, jumping.
Yeah. And definitely in the classics line, they made him huge. He's just a Hulk.
Yeah, definitely. That's the kind of version that I like. Jumping Jack Flash to Ram Man. That's a 180, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. Next up here, we've got one of our favorites. We've got Trapjaw here. He actually looks almost like he's got a radioactive glow here, which I think is really cool. Ram Man had the best PSA in Filmation.
Yeah, that was
Now-
on the Into House of Shakoti Part 1.
Yep.
Great episode.
All right, so we're getting Iron Jaw, Jaws. Speaking Moistly says my ex's dad. Metal Jaw. Jaws. Underbite. I'll go with Underbite.
No, the Underbite.
Brush your teeth, man. Well, folks, if you don't brush your teeth, you'll get a cool steel jaw like this. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Sharkman. Metamouth. Is your ex's dad Carl's mom's current boy toy? Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Zipper Joe.
Hey kids, I'm Zipper Joe.
That does not sound comforting at all.
It does not. It really doesn't.
never get the beads above the francs, okay? Now, I'm Zipping Joe. I'm going to tell you something. Never get the beads above the francs.
Got the PSA for you. You can't get the beads above the frank.
The man's going to take me out for telling you this one, but never get the beads above the francs. Oh my God, they got me.
Now we're just combining all the naming themes. Lost or My Teeth Man. Got the man all in one. Oh, hey, look. Zipper Joe was my nickname in college. Joe, I'm not sure that's a good thing, brother. I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Hey, there's no judgment on Toy Frenzy.
That's true. We don't judge. I like that. Let's see. It was X-Man.
Copyright infringer.
Right? Well, I mean, at the time, they didn't have X-Man in the X-Men. That came in the 90s. But
That's
yeah,
true,
they
but still.
definitely was too close to even just take a chance on, right?
Yep.
Let's not play that game. Clap a man, because he's going to clap that. Whoa. All right, let's roll it up here. Ooh, we have the Evelyn.
Those who
Evelyn,
follow
folks.
James Etox's channel probably have heard this one before.
If you guys aren't following James Etox, which
You definitely should.
oh. Here we go. Nolan's got Other Girl. That was it. You had The Girl, and now you have Other Girl. That was it.
Other girl. Color shifted Tila.
Marge, right? Yep. That's what I said. It was her name was Marge. Sorcerer? No, that's not quite how that works. Ah, look. I just colored Colin Bailey's B sheet for her. Nice. The Having a Crush on Evil Women starter kit. It's a good name. Good name. We've got Elvira Lynn. Another one for the Other Girl figure. Poison Witch.
Did
and
anybody
Trench.
else think of, like, connect in their mind Evil Lynn with Ursa from Superman 2?
A little bit.
For some
Like
reason,
the way the
for
look
some
with
reason,
the
in my
short hair
head.
kind of color.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
She would have been a really good actress to play her until they found
For
Meg
sure.
Foster.
yeah.
Meg Foster nailed it though. Like,
Oh, yeah,
like
she was great.
it's so hard to picture anybody else playing her as live action now because of that. And it's been 40 years, and I still don't think anybody will pull it off just right.
The only thing that I'm thinking though is Sarah York's voice is almost identical to the cartoon, and that's kind of what's really tipping the scale for me, is because Meg Foster had a very calm and smooth voice through the whole thing, you know. But Sarah Douglas. That was her name, Ursa. But her, I could just hear her like rip into the Skeletor on that. That would have been awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sultra.
Sultra, Allison Troy nailed it.
Nailed it. Nailed it fast, nailed it hard, right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Skull
anybody who
Witch.
watched us last week will know the answer to this one.
Yep.
If you didn't
Well,
already.
we've said it a couple times on Toy Frenzy. Over the time. So close, Thanos, because you're right. That's basically what the name boils down to, is everything you were saying. Zwitch. All right, now we're just naming diseases because of the jaundice
It's
comments.
alright.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I kind of gave it away there, my bad. But everybody's got it.
Yeah. This one's pretty, I think, well known by now.
It was called Unfunny Comic Relief in the 80s. He certainly wasn't nearly as funny as I thought he was. Trollar.
That's good.
Yeah. Magic book. Just call. Oh no.
That's what I said when I first saw him. Like
Every
He
time
later
he came
went
on.
on. He went on to play Urkel in Family Ties later.
Right.
Did I do that, Man at Arms?
that could have been his action feature. Did I do that?
Right.
Do that? Yeah, I can't even do that. Did I do that?
All right, guys. We have him here. Mechanic. What do you think he was all about? I bet you he was
What's the
called
deal
Peeping
with
Tom.
Mechanic?
Like, yeah, it's really kind of like what his whole gimmick is, right? He's a peeping Tom. Get that head up there and take a look through the window. Go on the second story.
Peepor.
Clever. Periscope, man. Periscope down. Great movie. Peepor. Sure. It's or. Grow or. Not
Grow
H-O or.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Keep it thematic.
Next door. Well, that would have been interesting. Damsel in distress? Maybe. Hide and seek. Peeping man. Spy man.
Spy Man. Yep. Very descriptive, not super creative.
Right? Well, again, many of the early names were just merely descriptions of what their play feature was.
I hope none of these people that were naming these figures got to name children.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Child
Hey,
Man.
you know what? We all went.
Child kid. Today you are now man child or things like that.
Infantor.
Infantor.
I named my sister's daughter Denise. I named her son Denephew. Like, that's the kind of level of naming we got out of these people.
Now my sister won't let me visit her children because she thinks I'm a stupid moron. But it's the truth.
You know, the hardest part, the true hardest part, remember, they were paying somebody big bucks to do this crap.
That's the mind-boggling part to me.
Right? Like, somebody got paid to sit in a room and come up with Spy Man.
I mean, like Spy Man's when you just flat out, you're just like, done. I'm just done. We're just calling him Spy Man. I don't care. I haven't seen my kids all week. Let me go home.
Oh, gosh. Sometimes I got to read these comments a little bit more before I bring them up. They didn't spend money or time on names. All went into gimmick and design. And that's really the truth behind it. They did not pay anybody to truly, like, put a lot of money and time into coming up with the names. The extension or Mechanic was favorite character as a kid, and all the kids made fun of me for that. Yeah, you know what? And that's not cool because, like, he had a pretty decent gimmick, Like he did something where some of those figures the gimmick wasn't all that great, but the guy he spies. Let's call him Spy Man.
Why couldn't they just call him Peepor?
People.
Well, because I'm sure they realized that would not be a great idea.
Well,
all
because
the-
Seaman was a great one too. Yeah.
Well, we see where they went with that, right?
Oh.
So they went ahead and they were like, yeah, you know what? If we name this guy Peepor, he's going to become every preteen to teenage boy's favorite guy. And then we're going to go have him watch Porky's or something.
Sure.
So really, really weird time growing up, guys. Like Flipper. All right, guys. I'm going to put it out there. He was named Beeman.
Mm-hmm.
Not B-Man. Beeman.
I believe it at this point.
We got Buzz. Bazaar. He certainly is Bazaar. B-Man. B-Nan. Eldor just says he's the bee's knees. He is because Sting Or, right? Dude, where's my Sting Or? Sounds like in Ashton Kutcher and
Mm-hmm.
what's his name? I can't even think of it. It's Stifler film.
Honey Boo.
Honey Boo. Bugman. Peg Warmer number 2 of the Modern Waves. Yes.
Picnic spoiler.
Bumble Drone. Be real. Be real. Honey Cheeks.
Honey Cheeks.
Only if he
I
came in
wanna
a
go
2-pack with Clapboard.
Oh.
We need to call him Honey Cheeks now.
Just to call him Honey
Oh
Cheeks.
man.
Who's that on your shelf? Honey Cheeks. What? Honey Nuts.
No.
Him
Honey
in a 2-pack
Puffs.
with Jitsu. You got some explaining to do, Mattel.
Stick 'em. And the last one we got Sweet Cheeks before we reveal the name. Bug Off or Wasp Man? Yep. That's what we could have had, folks. Bug Off.
We could have had Bug Off. Gotta say Buzz Off sounds a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Right? Just a little better. All right, guys, with the Whiplash.
This is another one if you're an avid watcher of my brain just James E. Talks channel.
Yep.
He's gone over the history of Whiplash, so you'll know the name.
Well, see, for me, I would have called this guy like Crocor, right?
Yeah. He definitely has an alligator vibe with his chest.
Yeah.
The specific tail he's got.
Yep. Lizard Man. Gator. That's been another good one. Crocor, Gator, right? Lizard. Slappy. Reptile Man. Floridor.
Florida Man.
Yeah, there we go. We'll pop it up there,
Lizard
folks.
Man.
Yes, Lizard Man.
Yep. Fun fact, this character was formerly a member of the Avengers.
Ah, true, folks. All right, guys. What do we got for this guy? Spider-Man. Schnappy das kleine Krokodil Man.
That's pretty good.
Wait.
It's almost 12:30 where I am. That was just like, what the hell just happened?
Right? Can you guys reveal
Jitsu,
if Jitsu
yes.
is going to be in this lineup? Yes, he is going to be in this lineup. Said Cobweb. We got Spidey, Arachnor. See, I like that. That would have been
That
cool.
would be good.
Ungoliath. Oh, almost hit the wrong button there. Arcana. Arachnoid. Spiderman. Arachnid. All right.
Black
This is
Widow.
the Black Widow. Hence why he has, it's very hourglass in its overall shape, but especially for those of you guys in Australia who know what the red belly spider looks like over there, definitely looks a little bit more like the pattern is more towards that. But yeah, definitely. Daddy Strange Legs. Strong Legs. Okay, Daddy Strong Legs. Yeah, he did not forget Leg Day. Peter Parkour. Black Widow. I'm blue. They must be colorblind. Black, not blue. Blue Widow. There we go. We're going to call him Blue Widow now. All right, guys. What do you think Roboto's name was?
Roberto.
Roberta.
It's called Ario first.
Its Speedwagon came later.
Thank you, Sean. I was hoping somebody would have got it.
That would be his vehicle later on. They have the robot, the Rio, and the Speedwagon. Ha
Robo Arigato.
ha.
Robot Man. We got Robo. Gear Man. Gear Ore. Domo Origato, Mr. Roboto.
Domo.
Mr. Roboto. Gearbox. Clockwork O. Men of Gears. Well, if we're still sticking with the man theme. But see, it was a later release where they already broke that trend. Now they just added ore to the end of everything.
Yeah.
Gearhead. Iron Patriot. I ain't got the red, white, and blue going.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's another good one from Eldor. Visor. It was transparent, man, because they were like, let's go back to the man.
Yep.
Wow.
Grindor. Now I want a sandwich. Clockwork. Vibrator.
That's a different attachment.
Why does my toy and mommy's toy have the same name?
I'm your mom's best friend. Sorry, it's 12:30. I got nothing.
Right?
Well,
Honey, you played with him long enough. It's my turn.
Yeah. I know a kitty that's going to be sleeping with mommy tonight. Thank you, South Park.
My mom took Roboto into the bedroom. Now I got back Stinkor.
Oh, this
is horrible, guys. This is what happens after
That's
midnight.
terrible.
We're gonna have to this up soon.
That ain't patchouli, kid.
Oh, we're gonna have another one of these later. It's coming up.
Skelly is never letting me take over the show. It's shake and bake, and I helped. Tornado Man. Cosmic Man. I'm trying to click these, and sometimes it's just Scanner. Scanor. Spin Masters. Now we create 4-inch toys that nobody plays with. Grindor. What a Man. Tornado. Tawiki. Tornado. You got him, folks. You got him. It's Tornado. Twistor.
All right.
All right, guys.
This one's a little infamous. See if anybody knows it.
Very infamous with this one. Lenticular. Spinner. All right. Without the man, right? All right. This was probably the best play feature for a figure in the 80s. Yeah, if you are talking about for Cyclone, that was a lot of fun. I used to just spin them all
It
the
was a
time.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's why fidget spinners became so popular because, like, really, like, Cyclone was my fidget spinner.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got Cauliflower Hammer,
Sure.
Bashor, Thanos, and Ballbuster, Tricerabash, Bash Tank, Kitchen Utensil, Meat Tenderizer, Ball Basher. All right, folks, let's see what. The Band Hammer, yeah.
It's the
Ballbuster.
Ballbuster. Famously, Filmation would not show this vehicle.
Nope.
At least, it was called that at first, obviously, but not later.
Don't even know what I'm looking at. What is that?
Bashosaurus.
That's a Bashosaurus. All right, let's see. Okay, Bone Crusher. Kung Pao Tractor. Okay, that was interesting. All right, guys. So, what do we think? One of my absolute. It's what I got your father when we got married. Boney. Skeletor. I absolutely love. This is like one of my hands down favorite toys of all time. Not the, but more. No. Really want someone to have a tattoo of the Ballbuster vehicle with that. Yes, never got other's name in it. Okay. Feed me, Seymour. We got a lot of ambulance. Just bones. Clip ribs. Hey, you know what? That'll work. Extinctor.
Spare ribs. That would have been good.
Yeah, spare ribs would have been fun. My nickname in college was okay. Ballbuster. It's called Dem Bones. Named after a really awesome song. Damn Bones.
Yes. It's even shut up. I found an old newspaper ad where it was called that in the actual ad.
Oh, really? It made it that far into marketing?
Yep.
That's great. I still need this in Origins. Need this in Origins bad. All right, guys. What did they call Mantenna? I say it was Tenna Man. Dem Bones, named after a Bible verse. All right, folks. If nobody's coming up with that, Marty Fieldman, man. Not safe for YouTube. Oh, okay. Bug Eyes. Bug Eye. He'd have been another good choice for P4.
Mm-hmm.
He got all them legs so he can run real quick, too. Bug-eyed Bob. Bug Eyes. So we got the rib bones connected to the action figure. The action figure connected to the wrist bone connected to the wristwatch. Everybody's familiar with Dr. Nick. I saw. That's cool. Succor. Well, that's what Mattel calls me. Carl. Bug Out. Well, we had Bug Off before. Why now Bug Out?
Sir?
It was Sensor Rador.
So, Sensor, if you remember, that was Zodak too. That was his name.
Yeah, they were stuck on that name.
Yeah. So basically, senses, like he has extrasensory. His eyes and his ears, he can sense things from far away.
Oh my, what big eyes you have. What big ears you have. What the heck is wrong with your mouth? Yep, they did. They really wanted to use Censor for a name. They couldn't let it go because it didn't end in man. All right, Ace, this one's for you. We got Jitsu here. What was Jitsu's original name? If I remember correctly, didn't they put it in the Filmation too?
Yep.
That's
It
what I
was
thought.
called by the early name in Filmation.
Yeah.
I know what it is.
Yep. Eldor says, God. Samurai Man. Chopper, or as they say in Rhode Island, Chopper.
That's what Arnie says too. Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
Win now.
What is best in life? Get to the chopper. That's what is in life.
Chopper. Goldor. Cleavor. Unfortunate Asian stereotype. Actually, that was the name they went with. So, Jumper. Hot Chopper. Whip off, man. All right. Everything I come up with is not PC. Hey, most of what they came up with was not PC, so it was definitely Chopper, guys.
Yep.
Bitch slap is what I get in mind, right? Right? That guy with the Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, Thanos. That's what his name was. Golden Arm. Gold Fistor.
There you go.
All right, folks. What do you think they called the Fricopter? Which this I didn't realize was called that before, but it totally makes sense.
It does make perfect sense.
Yeah. I just kind of like that they did have like another very like similar bug themed vehicle for the villains again after like Spydor and all like that. You know, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. I've never owned this one, but it's one of the coolest evil vehicles, I think.
It definitely was because it was later in the line, so they had like a lot more engineering by that time, so they could definitely add like a lot of really neat stuff to it. Thornicopter. That would have been actually kind of a cool name. Bugcopter, Bug Out, Buzzkill. That's what I called a Men in Blue to Popo. There's a Thanos Copter. Grass Chopper. I love the colors. Matched Landshark, right? Definitely. Skelly wanted his garage to match. Dragon Flyer. Or Fly Or.
Swamp Hopper.
Dragonfly. It was the Dragonfly. Right? Yeah, which, you know, it still works. Yeah. Freight Copter works, but it wasn't that scary. You know?
Freight Fighter.
Yeah, Freight Fighter. Sorry. All right, guys. We got the man Rio Blast. I call him Walkor with roundhouse action.
Durandor.
Durandor. He's coming through dropping plates. He doesn't drop the plates. He actually chucks them so he can shoot them. We got Fire Blast Man. Cobb says just Chuck. High Noon. Pew Pew Pete.
That's my favorite. Pew Pew Pete.
Pew Pew Pete. John Bain. Quick Draw. Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
The Marshal. Second Amendment Man. What's an amendment? Firepower Man, or my preferred name, Bionic Space Cowboy.
Another descriptive name.
Right? just why not? For ridiculous names. Bionic Space Cowboy. Like, Bionic Space Cowboy or Laser Cowboy? Like,
Rhinestone Cowboy.
Hey, why not? Rhinestone features. All right, let's see. We still got a couple more to go, folks. It's the fire hose. All right, folks, what do you think? Elefandor. Bionic Space Cowboy. You know, I want to see all of your yearbooks, Joe, signed with these nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great summer, Bionic Space Cowboy. See you next year. Maurice, the Space Cowboy. Now, see, that would have been a name for the ages. Oh, man. All right. What I love about Motu is everything is a name from something from Earth. Eternia isn't Earth, so why would the dragonfly look like a dragonfly? Because Earth people named it. Hose Nose, Water Blastor. We've got Gooseman as the only Bionic Space Cowboy that counts. Trunkor. Metelephant. I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Water Spout. Have a great summer, Carl. Yours, Ballbusta. Spurt Ore. I can see why they wouldn't have went with that. Elephant Man. Girlfriend's boyfriend. Snork. Firefighter. That was probably their first pre-choice. They were like, we need a firefighter in this. And they were like, yeah, we got to work on that name. Just like before we even put pencil to paper on what he's going to look like, we got to work on that name. Elephantitis. Squirtor. Robotic Land Elephant Man. Right? Why not? Robotic Land Elephant Man. That's the way to do it. All right, folks. Are we ready to see it? The Firefighter Elephant Man Hose Nose.
Well, sorry, the way I did that is funny. The Firefighter Elephant Man or Hose Nose.
I see. Got it. I dig it. Okay. We're coming down to the wire here, folks. Only a couple more slides left if you're all not tortured enough. Now, when I was doing this one, this was probably one of my favorite.
This one's tricky.
Glad some of us are very much on the same page with this one, right? She-Ra called him Hose Nose in the cartoon. It's true.
It's another name that made it to the cartoon.
Yep, he was Hose Nose on She-Ra. My God, now all I want him to be called is Man Hose.
Man Hose.
Licky Tongue. Yes, they named the Pokemon after this guy. Licor. Licorice.
That's good.
Licor again.
Can't hold.
We're just going to call him Hans Gruber. Hans Gruber. Gene Simmons. That was my vote. Flickor. It's actually not too bad. Evil Salamander. Yes. Tongue. Yep. Gene Simmons. Indeed. Exactly. All right, guys. Here it is. You ready for it? Yeah. Yeah.
The correctly spelled version of his name.
like,
Features on his B sheet.
Can we just go ahead and replace that E with an O there? Yeah, thanks. Now it sounds like it's from Eternia. Panalingo. Hey, there we go. Oh, great. Jar Jar Binkor. Snake Man. But see, he looks more like a frog to me. Lickety spit. And although, yes, snakes do have the forked tongue, toads are more known for catching their prey with their tongue. Guy who gets a second date. Frogman. Tongue Lasher the Frog here, reporting live from Snake Mountain. I figure this one. All right, yep. Yeah, the name is so bad they just were like, okay. Tongue Lasher's great, guys. Let's change one letter. All right, folks. Now, Multibot here. What do we think Multibot was going to be? Hey, you know what? That's probably what happened to me in my youth and why I had really messed up teen years. Multiple bot. So instead of multi-bot, they just called a multiple bot, and they were like, "Yeah, we gotta shrink that." That is the name. Speaking moist, that's really too far off there. 2-4. Siamese twins bots. Okay. Zoop zoop. Bendor. I mean, you're not supposed to be dropping names in there. You already know. You need to drop that PL and that sounds attorney. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, that was just a few dumb Futurama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Futurama joke, right? Look at him hands. Yeah. We know what he is. Botsy Stacks. There you go, bitch. Bit chip. Sorry. I trailed off there and it came out really bad. Legods. All right. Clumsy. Parts or. Get dog. I got this guy in classics for 40 Canadian. Great deal. That's a really long name, though, speaking moistly. Modular Man. And just as we put it out there, modular. There you go. Right? They could have just over enunciated the R part. All right, guys. It's our favorite. It's Clam Champ.
Another tricky one.
The Clam Champ. Modu Unlock. That was for Multibot.
It's always a little strange to me that his clamp, it looks like an ant. It pinchers
right,
like an ant mouth.
Yeah, like the mandible portion. Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting.
Captain Clamp. Token Man. That's kind of the way they did it. All the tokens, guys. Come on. All right, Quick Sun Man is selling a lot of toys, man. Claw Game Man. I had to say that really slow because if I said that kind of fast, it would have probably come out really weird. Pinchor, right? That would have gotten my vote. All right, guys. There you go.
Another tricky one. Clamp Champ with a K. That was it.
Yep. That's it. Like this one here. The People's Clamp. Any rock fans out there? All right, guys. The Eternia playset. What was this called initially? No, it was not the Ultimate Battleground. Uh-oh. Sean dropped out. Where'd he go? We lost Sean for a while.
He fell asleep.
Yeah, he might have. Beetle Claw. Cat's Lair. Dad's entire paycheck for 1987. Yeah, it would have been. Cat's Lair. Lion Towers. Tweezer. Oh, let's go behind there. Six Flags Over Eternia. Right? Canada's Wonderland. Sorry, guys. I did that. Okay. Yeah, Sean just messaged. Mega Tiger Shuttle Park. All right, guys. Mount Eternia. That was it. They just called it Mount, and then they were like, drop the mountain. It's good.
That was
it. Happiest place on Eternia. I still love how in the artwork they always show like the Snake Mountain and the Castle Grayskull in the background there.
Yeah. And that's like your ultimate goal. Like, I want all three all together.
I just need to connect them all. Now I want a fourth tower. Ugh. Why wasn't that a stretch goal? They knew it was coming. Come on now.
Oh yeah.
Psychosis Island. All right, guys. Snake Face. You know, because we got a real great name with Snake Face. What do you think he originally was called? He had really good turkey legs near the Monstroid ride, but the cotton candy sucked. So we got Snake Eyes. Snake Face was the name. Hope they make the fourth tower. Yes. Medusaur. Medusa Man. Mandusa.
That's pretty good.
Snake Man. Gorgon. Yeah. All right, folks. Medusa Man.
Man is correct.
You know, I gotta like the way Mandusa sounds. Like, I think that would have been a little bit cool, Mandusa. But
yeah, that's pretty creative.
Stoned Ore or Stoned Dar. All right. Let's go ahead and keep rolling.
All right, this is the last one.
Snake. You know, when this guy came out, I think we would have had that famous line from Cobra Commander. Once was a man. It's like all I can remember from that movie besides Cobra. La 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 la.
This is another one. He looks like a lizard. He doesn't look like a snake. He just has
the
arms.
face definitely looks more lizardy than snake. We got Hugor. We got Arms. Hugor. Group Hug. And he's got the long arms for dribbling, man. He can just dunk from half court, right? Without even having to jump.
Yeah.
Snakehead Arms, right? He's got such a weird gun, too, because the way it coils around the narrow arm. Tanglor.
This is what he was actually called in his mini comic. Called him Tanglor.
There you go. Well, because honestly, I'd much rather have called him Tanglor than Squeeze. Like, you know, Squeeze. Like, really? That was it? Carl's had too much to drink. Okay. Squeeze, please tell me it's not his real name. Yes, Squeeze is his real name now.
Yep, with 3 S's.
That's what they went with over Tanglor. Crocodootie. Crocodootie-doo. And then we have the last bonus image here, folks, which is a card back with those original names laid out on it. And I tried to blow it up the best I could without cutting up too much of an image here. Let me see what I can do to really get it full screen. So you see here where it's Torak, Tila without the hyphen, Armsman, D-Man, Sorceress, and you see she's got the armor on for Sorceress, Birdman, Tree Man, and Seaman with an A.
Yeah, this was just like literally I took a vintage card back and photoshopped this on. It's just kind of fun to see like what would have happened if the original B sheets had been the actual toys. So.
Right? Yeah, with their more original design looks and everything else. I mean, it's good. I like it. There you have it, folks. That's the Battle Room Report this week. Thank you all for playing along.
Yeah, that was the longest one yet, right?
It was definitely the longest one yet, but it was worth it, though, because it's really fun to do that and see what everybody had to say. I think most people were pretty tired by the time we got there, and that's why participation was fun. But
yeah. Thanks, everybody, for your guesses.
That's right, folks. Adam, what you got coming up, brother?
I've got an article. Somebody sent me some scans of some Top Toys card backs, so I'm going to do a post about that, and then I'm going to get to Blasterhawk article.
Very cool. Since Blasterhawk did make an appearance in Revolution, for those who weren't actually paying attention, Marlena's flying ship, the few frames that they show it like face on, you can see that was the Blasterhawk. So it's really nice to actually see them put that into the media for once. I thought it was cool, but it was really blink and you'll miss it moment. Because it did not look like the Blasterhawk when they showed the top side view of it while it was flying. So
Yeah.
Well, folks, you all know you can catch me just about everywhere on YouTube, and you never know where I'm going to pop up next. I know tomorrow night I will be on the Geek the F Out channel once again, as we will be talking more about Revolution from last week, getting some insight from a lot of other people, going over the last couple of episodes with different guests throughout the night, and then I'll be jumping in there somewhere. I think that's tomorrow night. Is it tomorrow night? I can't remember already. I'm terrible. Hang on. This will be like when I told everybody at 8 a.m. we're going live with Yuka, and it was 8 a.m. Pacific, and I was all sitting here 3 hours early for once. So yeah, that's exactly how that went. But yeah, that's going to be fun. You'll see some other familiar people in the chat here tomorrow. Right, here we go. There we go. Everybody's backing me up on it. Thank you. Because Thanos will be there. Allison will be there. We're all going to be talking some more Revolution, because really the show is amazing and it deserves to be talked about a lot. And each time you watch it, like even if you think you caught everything, go back and watch it again, because you probably didn't. There's so much fan service in that show. It's ridiculous. And then, of course, this Saturday night in the clubhouse, many of you all know him, another Adam, highly articulated, is going to be joining us tonight. Giving him top billing here. He is not a huge Motu fan. He had some Masters of the Universe guys when he was a kid. Has recently gotten into Masters of the Universe. He was opening up, of course, Battle Armor He-Man, Battle Armor Skeletor last night on his open late. And now he has fallen down a rabbit hole himself and will be opening a ton of Masters of the Universe stuff this weekend over on the clubhouse at Ostradamus Toys. So certainly come hang out with us on Saturday night as we all sit around. I've got some stuff to open up as well. But when Adam's on there Saturday night, we're going to be hearing firsthand what it's like as he opens up these newer Masters of the Universe toys. Not being a huge Masters of the Universe fan that freaked out about it like we all did when it first hit. And now he's getting into it, and it's turning into a family thing, which is kind of what we're all about. So you'll catch me on there as well. And again, who knows where else I'll be. Don't forget, Eternia Land, hashtag Eternia Land. Draw up your version of an Eternia-themed play park and get it out there. Hashtag it Eternia Land, and that will have to be a deadline by February 22nd, folks. So get it done, because we got some cool stuff to give away for that. All right.